I'm so grateful that this album exists. It's such a piece of shit, but it's not even a piece of shit. It's a thing with potential that got fumbled so hard in such a funny way that it's even better than if they didn't fuck it up. The fact that they took a swing this hard, missed so hard that they spun around and did a fucking pirouette. That's what I feel this album is. Welcome to Every Album Ever with Mike and Alex, the podcast where we listen to every single album in the world, one artist at a time. That's a whole new discography per episode. My name is Michael Mansour, and I'm joined, as always, by my very, very excited and happy to talk about this thing that we're doing today. Alexander Volt, say hello.
I'm the view. I am the table.
I am the table! Oh, yes! Okay. Part 3, motherfuckers. Part 3. We are here. Part 3. What are we talking about, Alex? What are we talking about?
This would be part 3 of Metallica, and depending on your worldview, perhaps the most interesting era of Metallica, but in a bad way. Interesting's not always good.
I would say in a delightful way, Alex. I think it brought so much joy to me. It made me so happy in all the ways they probably didn't intend, but it doesn't matter because it's so, holy crap. A lot of you people who like us and watch us have been eagerly awaiting this one, asking if we're going to cover the album with Lou Reed. Yes, we are. We are covering Lulu today. Absolutely. We think we're not going to cover fucking Lulu.
That's been one of my bucket list albums since we've started this. Some Alex lore real quick, still alive with these fires. But I was I was so excited to do this episode. I was really looking forward to it despite the things that my ears would have to endure. And then the fires hit, and I was very close to one. And thankfully, I'm good. My apartment's still good. But even if I wanted to record that week, I had no fucking power the day we record in my apartment. And the air quality fucked my head for like a week straight. So this was something I was very excited to do, almost like, I get to review Tommy Wiseau's The Room or talk about that. Like that's the energy I was going, and then this fucking sucked all the oxygen from it. But
literally,
yeah. So I really I think I still bought the Ruckus. I did want to watch some kind of monster documentary. I just didn't have time.
Oh, dude, I was so disappointed.
I've seen it though.
Dude,
it's just
I
been
watched
a long
every
time.
minute of that fucking 2.5 hour.
Yeah, so I really wanted to be really thorough. I couldn't, but
I well, obviously understandable because the world completely exploded where you're at. Family members of mine got evacuated and stuff, and the era seems to be one of the worst.
It was for those with allergies or medical conditions. It's thankful that my apartment didn't burn down, but also having a trifecta of fires around you, and the fact that one of them was about 10-15 miles away from me, just
that's and it started, the one near you started with my one of my favorite, because by the way, Pasadena was burned down. That's literally, and I'm not kidding, the only part of LA that I like in my whole life living there. That is the only part of the entire city that I actually love. And it's gone now. And the place where it started, Eaton Canyon, was one of my favorite hiking spots. I would go there every day. So it's just that's a bummer. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that is a bummer. It's a very accessible, beautiful hike. It also got one of the trails that I did with John Bowers recently.
Friend of the show. I'm spacing on the name of it because we went there for the first time when we conquered it, and we jokingly called it Big Dog Peak. And that's another reason why I
don't remember the actual name, but
Walnut Canyon?
no, it's
Coyote Canyon?
it's like it's in Sierra Madre.
No, Echo something.
Not
Okay, all right, never mind.
yeah.
I'm out of ideas. I ran out.
I think Echo is okay. I think it was more eastern Pasadena area that was impacted by it.
But you're alive, you're well, you're everything is unscorched, thank God. I'm very far away now. I certainly feel like I dodged a bullet, even though everyone where I was living was fine anyway. But still. So I hope you. I'm disappointed you didn't get to watch Some Kind of Monster again. Only because I didn't take notes on it. I was hoping that your memory of it would like jog memory. There were parts of it that I still remember that I want to talk about.
I'm hoping you talking about it, I'll like remember it, because I do like vividly remember a few things.
There are a few very memorable things. I'll say that. And I decided to go very thorough with this episode too, because not only have I not heard, I mean, the biggest shocker, I've never heard Lulu before this episode. I somehow managed to avoid it for 15 years now. However long.
Much like the Some Kind of Monster documentary, before this, I had only heard it the once. And I was just like, I don't know. I couldn't like take my ears off. I listened to it in one sitting, and like,
so did I. I did it twice in one sitting. No. My first one in one sitting. Never mind.
Okay, and like, my thing for a while is I would love like going up to people at metal shows and being like, "Oh yeah, you like Metallica? Like, listen to Lulu yet?"
Man,
and then calling them fake fans because they would say no. I'm like,
fake fans.
Fake fan. I've listened to Lulu. I've listened to Lulu thrice now.
So aside from that, I haven't heard these albums in, a long time. Not counting the most recent one, 72 Seasons, because we did a full episode on that one on 2023. And this is like this is out of my little window, because Metallica was my first favorite band when I was like single digits, and as soon as I became a little older, when after Saint Anger, like around that time period, a little after that, that's kind of when I grew out of Metallica, at least for the time being. And then I just went blank. I didn't see any of the movies. I didn't see any of the stuff. I watched about an hour of Through the Never that I was watching before we got on this call.
I think that movie rules. I think I think it's very underrated.
The cinematic parts are a little cheesy, but I gotta tell you, man, when they played Ride the Lightning in its entirety, I was ear to ear smile. I was like a kid again.
I was at the concert.
Oh yeah, all right. Yeah. I love them, and that's what I want to say up front, because we're gonna be talking a lot of shit this episode. We talk a lot of shit in this podcast. If you've never been here before, I love Metallica to the very end. They can do whatever the fuck they like. This is my realization after listening to all these albums, taking all these notes, being in a lot of pain for some of it. At the end of the day, when I'm watching Through the Never, the amount of joy that this band has brought me since I was 5 years old. They can do whatever the fuck they want. I love them till the day I die. They can, hell yes. Ride or die for Metallica. Just do whatever. I love it. And the crazy shit that they do in this era, even when it's horrible, it's so interesting. It's so interesting.
That's one way to put it. It was definitely one of those things where I thought things going in, and then by the time I was done, it got all remixed.
Oh, got remixed. Where we left off in part 2 was Garage Inc. Part 2 was pretty fun. I mean, going back to Load and I gotta tell you, man, Load and Reload. I keep saying I gotta tell you, man. I gotta tell you, man. That's gonna be my fucking new catchphrase. I gotta tell you, man. Load and Reload, those songs are still stuck in my head, dude. It's been like fucking 10 weeks. How long has it been since we've done part 2?
It's been a little bit. I did make a playlist called Droppin' Loads where I just picked my favorite from the 2 albums and condensed it into one.
One manageable album. Yeah.
One manageable load.
I love it. God damn. So we left off with Garage Inc. and stuff. And out the gate. So let's first, we got some notes here from our boy Tom Osman, who you should all support and follow. He's our history guy. He's our little researcher, and he gets us interviews, and he does a lot of stuff for us, and it's very helpful. He got us some stuff here. There's a piece from Music Radar, which talks about the bass player auditions from 2003. Another piece from Metal Hammer, and then the history stuff directly from Metallica.com. So it's completely unbiased. It's completely fair, down the middle, straight shooters, these guys. And where we left off, Jason Newsted is now gone. He left the band, I would say, for pretty good reasons.
I would agree. I don't know what that dude's up to these days. I hope those royalty checks keep him well fed. And
the Black Album alone, dude, it's
always one of the best selling albums of the year. I think crazy.
He's doing all right. Yeah.
So
he's kind of living the dream, actually.
Yeah, where he gets paid and he gets to pursue whatever he wants artistically. And
so he quit because it's simple. He just wanted to pursue his side project. He wanted to push his side project and dedicate more time to it. And James, very fragile at the time, was very threatened by this. And he said no, because it's taken away from Metallica. If that gets bigger, then Metallica's losing in the long run, and we're going to lose you. And it's a
crazy thing to say as a grown man to another grown man when you're in the most successful, most popular metal band in the fucking world.
It really, what it would do, in my stupid, poor opinion, where I have very little success in life, aside from spiritual success, which is enough, is that it all feeds each other. You build something else up, it builds it back in return. That's just how I think nature works in general. Clenching onto it ends up making your bass player quit. So
I agree with you. Also, side note, it's going to be a long episode. I watched this quick little YouTube documentary about this barbecue guy named the Egyptian Cowboy. And the end, I'm not going to get into the details, but the end, it was these barbecue guys talking about how there's not enough of that, not just in cooking and culinary things, but in the world. And they're like carving out in Austin, they're like carving out a community where these chefs and these cooks aren't threatened, and they're holding classes to like teach the next generation and trying to like open these doors. And I just thought that was beautiful, and that's kind of what you're talking about.
What I truly think is, not only is it wrong to hold back something that's within your organization to go pursue other things and to create more. That is how scenes are made. Scenes are made by sharing the style with others. And without scenes, we have no underground. We have no smaller cultures. We have no countercultures. We have nothing without scenes, which is why we're dying as America. So really, James fucked up, obviously. And in some kind of monster documentary, he even says later on that
he fucks up.
He fucked up that's not the way you do it. That was a bad move, and he shouldn't have done that, which is very evolved. And honestly, watching that doc, it is very funny. A lot of different points are very funny, because you could look at it as like rich guys crying, which it is. Don't get me wrong, it is. However, I found it to be extremely relatable, because these are just dudes who didn't learn, who didn't grow because they were too busy being fucking rock stars.
Too busy being rock stars, yeah.
So they're processing things and talking things through in a way that I've been there, like trying to talk things through in this way, and you're like super frustrated, and your feelings are super like small and immature, and you're offended by something when the other person was just being honest, but you took it super it's such a normal human thing. And watching these dudes go through it, it's like, oh, that sucks, dude. It sucks that you had to film this.
That's another reason I wanted to watch it, because I watched it as a younger man. I wanted like the perspective as an adult, like a proper adult now. But like I cannot believe they let them film that shit. Like insane. They like unintentionally made a like real Spinal Tap documentary.
Parts of it were ridiculous. I felt it to be a little bit more sad, but the parts that were ridiculous. Well, for one, I think it shouldn't have been filmed because James was going through such a hard time. He was, man, before rehab, he went to, he just spontaneously took a 2-week trip to Russia and left his family, and like during one of his kids' first birthdays, when he was, it's like, that's hard to excuse, dude. That's pretty rough. And then you could tell how uncomfortable he was with the cameras there, and like
that's always been his thing, though, right? Like in Load, when they're like, we have to wear eyeliner and leather, and like he was the one fighting that.
He was the one fighting it. He wanted to be a little bit more authentic, but there's a lot of things in that because they're writing Saint Anger in that whole documentary, and you see how that album exists. It didn't make sense to me as much before, and we're seeing it's like, oh, this is how we get that album. Okay. And there's a lot of takeaways that I'll get into when we talk more about the album, but yeah, I found it to be, so some of the funniest moments, or my favorite moments is just Lars's art.
Dude.
It's like fucking finger painting.
It's bad. It's bad.
And like he's talking about how it's his outlet outside of music, which is wonderful. I absolutely love that. I do art outside of music as well. It's do your thing. And he's into painting, and he does his fucking kind of abstract kind of stuff. And then he says, okay, we're going through this big shift. I'm selling all my paintings. I'm starting anew. And he sets up this art gallery or this showing to have them auctioned off. And he's walking through it, and he's like floored. He's like, wow, I've never seen my pieces in like a space like this. Like and he's like genuinely moved and floored by it. And there's this one moment that I bursted out laughing because it's his biggest one. And he's looking at it from far away, and he has this really like serious poignant moment. And he's like, fuck, man. Fuck. Like he's like in awe of how good it is.
Yeah.
And it shows the painting. It's like stick figures against a black background with like little scratch marks. And it's just like a fucking, that's like a child did it. And he's like, fuck. He's like so proud. By the way, that piece sold for $5.4 million.
Of course it did.
Yeah, I think it was 5.4.
He also, that documentary makes Lulu make sense too, because he is like this like avant-garde guy trapped in a stupid metalhead's body.
A little bit, yeah. I don't think he's stupid though. I think he's just set in his ways.
I didn't mean that. But it explains a lot about him. My favorite part of that documentary, and who I think should have produced the album, is Lars's dad.
Rules.
That guy rules. He has more common sense than anyone at the time. I'll say at the time, because people go through things, they change. At the time, Lars's dad was the only person who made any fucking sense.
He was so it was also interesting seeing him talk to his dad, because he's this sagely guy, but he's like a real dad. Those of us in the hood who grew up in the hood didn't see too many of those, but he's like a real dad in the sense that he shot it straight. He was supportive, but he wasn't a babying kind of guy. He wasn't a soft guy. He was just a stern, honest, and like fun. He was like a well-rounded. You can see why, Lars is probably so successful and confident because he had like a really good role model like that,
like a supportive dad.
Yeah. So and they show him a track that they were working on, and in the first place that they were rehearsing and recording at, and he's like, I would delete this. I think if being honest, I would delete this. And then they did, because it stunk. Whatever the fuck they were playing from, it was weird and it was not good. It didn't make it onto anything. So, the man rules. Yeah. So this is from Metallica.com. It says, the turn of the century was to prove chaotic, yet ultimately highly progressive. The year 2000 kicked off with a short arena tour in the Midwest, and the summer brought the U.S. Stadium headline tour, Summer Sanitarium.
I went to that tour. That's the first time I saw Metallica.
No way. Really?
You know who support was?
Who?
And I went early because I wanted to see Deftones, and I regretted it. So Deftones played first for some reason. They shouldn't have. Then That was followed by Mudvayne.
Oh, oh,
And then that was followed by Linkin Park.
oh,
And then
oh, it hurts no more. It's hurting me.
And then that was followed by Limp Bizkit.
Fuck! That's rough.
I've never seen a band like get booed out of pure hatred.
It was Limp Bizkit?
Yeah. Like it was, maybe from first to last, which for those who don't know was Skrillex's first band. Maybe that band, but like I've never experienced anything like that on that level ever again.
Holy crap, man.
And I thought, and then at a certain point, I was like, Metallica's cool, touring with cool bands like Lamb of God and Mastodon. They'll never play with Limp Bizkit again. Fast forward to 2025, they're playing with Limp Bizkit again.
Yes, it came full circle.
Yes,
because Limp Bizkit is cool again because they're funny and they're not super famous. I don't like their music anymore.
They were never. As someone who loved Limp Bizkit growing up, they were never cool.
I haven't heard it. I heard good things about their first demo before the first album.
I guess that's a different podcast. This is going to be long enough. But I just wanted to share that tour.
Well, judging by that lineup, it does explain Saint Anger. Well, anyway, 2001 was set aside to begin work on a new original studio album, but the year started with another significant change as Jason Newsted and the band parted ways in January. The remaining three members worked on new music with producer Bob Rock, filling in on bass until the middle 2001 when Hetfield arrived at a crossroads, which meant he needed to step away and rehabilitate on several levels. So, yeah, we talked a little bit about that already. And Bob Rock fucking sucks. I mean, he's always sucked, though. But he just happened to land a fucking masterpiece almost. Well, I wouldn't call it the Black Album masterpiece, but close enough to a masterpiece with the Black Album to where they thought, this guy is our man. He helped us with this. This is one of our best albums, one of our better albums. He's our man. It was a fluke. It was a goddamn fluke.
Fluke is one way. I was going to go like a lightning in a bottle thing. Like it was good the one time. I get working with him again because like, oh, of course you want to recapture that. You have to try, right? But he just like, and you see it in the documentary where you were like, oh, this dude thinks he's Metallica. Like he thinks he is in the band.
He definitely feels a part of the band. I mean, because at that point, why wouldn't you? He helps construct the music at a certain point. He gives so many suggestions.
And at that point, he's been working with them for like what, over like near a decade?
Yeah. Yeah. Over a decade at that point. Yeah. 11, 12 years. So he's so involved in everything. And it's funny, even in the doc, the therapist that they get, even he starts to get comfortable. Yeah. And they're like,
even the therapist thinks he's in Metallica at a certain point.
The band, like James was saying, like, I feel like he thinks he's in the band now. Like he
absolutely did. Yeah.
He got comfortable. And
also it's like a bad therapist where like, I don't know if that guy wanted to help them. He was probably like, oh, this Metallica, I can milk this for a long time. So
that's definitely a probably more cynical way to look at it. But I thought that too. Because when they say, hey, we're thinking about not doing it, like, and they brought up that they don't like what was happening and they just don't want to do this anymore. He put up a fight, like, which is like so untherapist like he was like trying to make a case, like,
oh yeah.
He had to like clarify afterwards, like, no, I mean, you could do whatever you want. I'm fine with, but it was like obvious he was trying to like, because he was getting paid $40,000 a month. I mean, you're going to try to hold on to that.
A ton. That guy was probably like making house reservations. Like,
oh yeah. He was like, he was going to move, and that's why they got uncomfortable.
Sorry, renovations.
Well, he was going to move to like San Francisco or something, and that's when they thought like, oh, he thinks he's here forever. So
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, wild document. It's too long. It's 2 hours, 20 minutes. Too fucking long. Definitely. But worth it for some parts.
That's all these albums in a nutshell. All these albums are too fucking long.
They are all too long. Many of the songs could be trimmed by half, and you wouldn't know the difference. And this is this is going to be this is a long intro. Sorry, it's a long episode, but watching Through the Never and the joy of just a set list alone, I'm like, man, this is a killer set list. They play Injustice for All, which I was like, oh hell yes, they're playing Injustice for All. And what do? They shorten it, and in my opinion, make it better.
Oh wow.
All they did was chop off a verse and chorus, which is like, I felt kind of dragged the song on. Like, it's still not a short song. All they did was chop off one verse and one chorus, kept the gigantic bridge in solo section exactly, kept the giant outro the same. Like, so I felt it was a better version of the song. Also, you could hear the bass, but like, it made me very, very, very happy. Also, last thing about that, when they have Lady Justice, they had like the giant Lady Justice statue.
Yeah.
For that song, for some reason, the statue, they gave her giant cans. It looks super weird. I've never seen Lady Justice with giant tits.
You know, this because she's blind doesn't mean she deserves it. Not an amazing rack.
She's blind, not us. That's what you're saying, Alex. Gotcha. So we might as well cut the bullshit, start talking about the music, which is, I guess, bullshit in its own right. But fuck it, man. You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh boy. This is 2003's Saint Anger.
Round my neck. This is one of the worst openings in the history of music.
I disagree, but I do think it is one of the worst produced things in the produced openers in the history of music. Metallica, right? This is good Metallica.
There are, to my amazement, there are good riffs in this album.
Yes!
This rules.
This is great. Hold on, everybody. This is fucking killer crust punk. Killer crust punk. Bad Metallica. Killer crust punk.
This is, yeah.
It's also Metallica doing new metal.
I don't really hear it. Like,
not in this song. Other song. Well, this a little bit, but other songs more.
The singing is so bad. And these are hands. I complained about stupid lyrics on part 2. These are. These are this stupid, like, determines my best style, my lifestyle. This part. This is a good part. Also cool. Also
this is a cool part.
Yeah. This is king of stupid, like maybe the stupidest lyrics of any album ever.
No, I've heard the dumbass lyrics.
I don't know, man.
I talked about one on Patreon, by the way, which actually is worse.
Yeah.
All right, so that song goes on for another 20 minutes.
As they all do. And to my, well, I knew it was going to get one accolade. I didn't expect it to get both, ladies and gentlemen. This is walking away with worst and least favorite.
Alex?
Yeah.
Worst least favorite also.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That means
this is obviously, I mean, this is like,
going
it's bizarre.
It really wasn't obvious. That means we may have similar feelings about Lulu. And
we're going to talk about all of it, baby. Don't you worry.
Yeah, but I'm getting a little ahead here. I put this on, and you know how sometimes if you're in a bad area on your phone, it's like, oh, I'm not getting full signal. The sound quality goes down. I put it on my computer, and it still sounded like that.
It is. That's how it sounds. Yeah.
It's so fucking compressed for some reason.
It's a lot. It's a lot on the senses, and there's a lot of strange choices.
I didn't even say anything about the fucking drums because that's obvious. Everyone hates the fucking drums. Like
it's crazy. The drums are crazy. I mean, I'm completely, because I haven't heard this since I was 10.
Yeah,
I am baffled by, because it's not just. I'm used to shitty snares. I listen to fucking hardcore punk. I love shitty snares. I mean, relatively, this is a special. It sustains. It rings.
For those of you who play the drums or familiar with drums, to make the snare sound like a snare that you know and love in pop music and heavy music, there's a little mesh of metal thing underneath, and you have a button or a lever you can press so it's pressing up and you get that snare sound. This fucking guy decided, what if I just turn that off for the whole fucking album? I don't play a genre of music that calls for it, but what if I just did that? And that's what you're hearing.
Snare, the word snare is literally the word for the metal part. That's like literally. So
I didn't even know that.
So like when you, without that, it's just another fucking tom, like a really high, like tightly tuned tom.
If you're doing like a tom beat and like a Caius or a Tool song, it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're doing reggae or something like that, it's appropriate. It's not fucking appropriate for heavy metal music.
I would say it is appropriate for some heavy metal, like you the examples you gave, a lot of stoner metal, and like feels pretty.
Sure, that's a little different. Yeah,
not fast.
Thrash. No, not fast.
Because
not thrash.
Because as you can hear in the song, it sustains, and it doesn't just sustain the way a tom sustains. It sustains with a high pitch, a very high ringing pitch. So when it's going fast, the sound, that sustained drum hit isn't decaying. It's just, but behind everything is this ringing. So
also this sounds like a joke, but I'm like dead serious. The fucking beer kegs in Slipknot sound better than this fucking snare.
Yes. And also, it's not just a snare. The double kicks. The drums are produced in a way that's very lively and big, which I love that sound. But when you're going crazy with the double kicks, it's just overwhelming everything. That's why it feels so compressed.
I'd argue they also suffer the worst from this like compressed sound. Like it's the most obvious. Like to me, that one took the biggest hit. And on top of it, like I love Lars's drumming. I think he's one of the most creative metal drummers ever. When he's on his like at his peak, he does things other drummers wouldn't do. He's not doing any of that here.
Disagree. I think
you disagree.
I think so. He is definitely neutered compared to what we know from Lars, because he's very, very creative and very inventive with kind of writing drum riffs rather than drum lines. Here, I think his performances are some of his strongest. He's going faster here than he's gone in over a decade. Since
it's not,
I mean, he's going so fast. He's going. He's tight as a nail. He's doing really. And the interesting stuff is, I'll admit, it's not that he's not doing anything that crazy or interesting on most songs. But I think his performance is one of the most energetic that I've heard from him from this point since. Honestly, since Dyer's Eve.
I get where you're coming from, but the lack of creativity from him is what hurts.
It's not even just the lack of creativity from him. It is, baby, across the board. And that brings me to how this album was made. And that is because they decided, hey, everyone's going to write the music now. Everyone's going to write the lyrics. Everyone's going to write the music, and it's going to suck. And that's what they did. It was the first album that Lars and James didn't go on their own and write the music and come back with it. So I believe, and I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure the line, "My lifestyle determines my death style," was written by Kirk Hammett. And in the movie, Lars hears it for the first time and laughs. He laughs at it.
Yeah.
Because it's funny.
That hurts my soul because I thought Kurt was the only consistent member, but no, he's crazy, just like Hetfield and Lars, right?
He's not a lyricist though. Like his EP was his first solo EP ever was instrumental. Like he's not a lyricist. He's not a singer.
I know you didn't, but I love that EP too. I thought
love
that was
some
great.
stuff on it. Yeah. We're talking all this. We're talking about a lot of things at once, but I listen to this all the way through for the first time in 20 years, literally over 20 years. I thought this is garbage front to back. Going back for my second listen, because I decided I'm going to give it a second listen. God damn it. I'm giving it up for Frantic. I'm giving it up for Frantic and one other song. I think if Frantic was 2 minutes and 30 seconds, it would be a fucking awesome crust punk song.
Okay.
Of course, it's 7 minutes. Shouldn't be that long. And then the other song that I'm going to give it up for, it's a bad Metallica song, like everything on here. But for what it is, for this weird, clangy trash can new metal shit, Dirty Window. I'll give it up for Dirty Window.
Yes. Dirty Window, if they could just that's the song that needs the least work. If they could just change the drums on that, like that song is legitimately good.
I like the drums on there. I think that section with the clicks and the clean section with the clicks, it's a good section. And I like the choice to do clicks there. It's something he's never done before. It's not very Metallica like, doesn't sound very Metallica, but who cares? It's something that I enjoyed. But that one does feel to me like, oh, it's Metallica doing new metal, really. It's like, if they went into the studio trying to make new metal, there we go.
I think they should like George Lucas some of these songs. I think like Frantic, the title track, and All Within My Hands, there's like good songs in all three of those, just like screaming to get out.
You read my mind almost completely, except I think I hate the title track. I fucking hate the song. I think it's a shitty song, except Alex, that opening riff, that death metal ass opening riff rules.
Yeah, I like it. And the lyrics are just fucking horrible. Like, I think James does, for some reason, sound slightly better here than on Frantic. So there's two lyrics in particular that make me laugh. The first is Madly in Anger with You.
Madly in Anger with You. I'm madly in anger. Dude.
Also, that is something that will continue. They will like try to make things like do Metallica terms, like invent like terms no one really uses.
The Unforgiven, which the song is The Unforgivable. That's what I would say.
Yes. And then the second one that like makes me laugh because one, they shot the music video in San Quentin prison, I believe. And so like one, he goes, fuck it all, fucking no regrets. I fucking no regrets. I just pictured like cholos jamming out on that part. Like it's a very like cholos love saying fuck it and fuck it. Like,
oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
So those are the moments of that song that got you. The moment of the same song that got me, and the part that I had to write, like I had like in my, I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Is the backup vocals going, you flush it out, you flush it out.
You flush it out. Yes, that is funny too. You're right. No, you're right.
What is that Linkin Park bullshit, man? That's insane.
It's just fucking confusing. Like, is that like a phrase they use in like rehab or so? Are they like,
that I know
you gotta
of.
like, was he like, oh, I gotta like flush out the drugs and alcohol? Like, what if I took that and I applied it to my emotions? Like, isn't that so clever? And no, it's not.
I don't think it was him trying to be clever. I think it was him coming up with the stuff on the spot, seeing if it would fit. That's what looked like what they were. A lot of what they were doing is they're just riffing on the spot, and a lot of them they felt pressure to come up with stuff and to bring it because they all were supposed to contribute for it, which I think, that's how you get in with a bunch of crap. You assign homework to kids who don't want to do homework. You're going to come up with a bunch of bullshit and made up stuff that they did at the last minute. So you flush it out over and over again.
You flush it out. You flush it out. It sounds funny. It sounds like the way he's singing it is funny.
The other song that you mentioned was All Within My Hands, which was my favorite as a kid. there is a good song in there. That chorus is a very cool sleazy riff. There's these little clean verses with these subtle arpeggios. It's actually really interesting. His vocals have like he's channeling like a fucking Maynard kind of style, but it's 7 minutes of a bunch of bullshit around it. There's so much crap in there. It's insane.
They named their charity foundation after this song. I think at least they could do is remake that song.
The least they could do for the children.
Although they do give it to like whatever they think. Like they gave money for the fires recently.
Oh, that's good stuff. That's very kind.
So the song "Some Kind of Monster" is one of the most sludgy things they've done at times, but the phrasing of the verses is so fucking awkward on my ears.
Is that the same song? Is more silence no more.
Yeah. Everyone should be sent to Guantanamo for this album. Like, I was listening to that. I was like, you know who would like kill who should cover this song and make? I don't want Metallica to re-record. I want the Melvins to re-record. I think the Melvins would like take the good riffs in there and just kill it.
Yeah, because that main riff is pretty butt rocky. I don't like that main riff. It's so simple and whatever. But if they played it in a really grimy kind of way, I think it wouldn't be that bad. Mm-hmm. Also, I like Lars. Lars is going ape shit on there, and he sounds really good. And then there's that section with the "We the People" section.
We the people.
It's super duper fast, but there's no riff to it. Well, it's mostly vocals and drums, but it's a cool little space. It's a cool little section. It's little moments like that. That's kind of cool. That's kind of creative. I like that. But the bulk of this whole album, and that song included, is just these super duper average shitty nu metal kind of riffs played over and over again.
It's number one. It's the production on here, and then number two, it's too long, and like the memorable parts get drained out by the boring parts, like you said. So yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
There's also a thing to be said about the arrangements, in that Metallica's typically been very, complicated with their arrangements, and they get proggy and they do a bunch of crazy stuff and they go on a little journey and then they return back to the main thing. Here it feels so nonsensical, which you don't really think about why something works or when it doesn't work with like Metallica songs. Like you think about their lengthy bridge sections in like their epic title tracks from their first few albums, and you just like, oh, that's a cool riff, and it goes into this other section, it leads into, and you don't really think about it. It's just this cool long section. When it doesn't land, it feels like chaos. It feels like nonsense.
It does, yeah.
That's what a lot of this album does. It still tries to do these long passages, but they all feel like they're kind of running in circles. It doesn't really make any sense, and the riffs are not that interesting. So it feels, it's probably not even, they're probably not even doing a different method in the writing process. There's just something that didn't land with it. It's hard to even like pinpoint what it is. It's just weird, ethereal little thing that I can't grab. I can't touch it. It's just like, it just doesn't work somehow.
Yeah, this isn't the first time I'm going to say it in this episode, but particularly on this album and a lot of these songs, it has big like teenagers just jamming in their garage vibes, and I mean that in like a bad way. It feels like you're listening to demos that are supposed to be more fleshed out eventually.
They were just jamming out. They were jamming on these riffs for like hours, and then this is the songs that came out of it. And that works really well for a lot of bands. I'm sure it works well for Godspeed, because I'm pretty sure they do that. But
yeah,
this Metallica has proven to be a band that needs construction, and the constructors are James and Lars. So when you force them into a situation where they're just not, it feels wrong. And And then there's it's such a long album, and so many of these songs are just so bland and forgettable. I have so many notes here. There's no way we're gonna get to like in depth with every song because they all fucking do the same things. Like the verse to Shoot Me Again is like the worst of the worst Korn you've ever heard.
So until the like main course, I think they're doing like budget tool there. It's like for like this album, it's like a slight thumbs up.
Oh, you'd call it a slight thumbs up.
A slight thumbs up, yeah. To me, like one of the like worst, most boring things on here is My World. Like they can keep Their World. For people who don't know the wrestler Jeff Jarrett, his theme music is annoying. There's sirens. It's like wee-oo, and it's shitty new metal. And he's still walking out to that in 2025. I'd rather listen to Jeff Jarrett's My World than Metallica's My World.
Wow. That it's funny because you mentioned it being forgettable. I think that's the most forgettable song on a overall bad album. Like,
yes.
I mean, these songs are kind of stick out in their own way with like how bad they are. That one really, I mean, for the length that it is, it's amazing that you could just forget it completely.
Also, I just kind of realized Jeff Jarrett looks like he could be a Metallica.
Maybe he'll be the new replacement once they get tired of Robert Trujillo. Oh, we didn't mention Robert Trujillo is now here. He's not on this album. This is Bob Rock.
Yeah.
You know what? We'll give a nice little dedication to Robert Trujillo after this album. But Sweet Amber sounds to me like a better version of the title track. Still not good, but this similar riffs, but more interesting arrangements. I think it's actually arranged a little bit more like the 90s era of Metallica.
Sweet Amber has two things going for it. The lyrics aren't overtly stupid. They're still stupid, just not as stupid. And then it's not 100 minutes fucking long. It's one of the like shorter songs on the album.
What is it, like five something?
Yeah. It's
still long.
It's still long, but
yeah. The Unnamed Feeling has the clean sections. I can see them working in like, they're not that bad. They're not my favorite thing ever, but they are catchy. They end up being stuck in my head a lot.
I hate that. That's the most like jammy song to me.
The rest of the song has no rhyme or reason, really.
They're this figuring it out, and you're listening to it for some reason.
I'm talking specifically about the clean sections, that little chorus thing. The rest of the song is very overwhelming. It really does go everywhere. And you don't really it's hard to follow. And the vocal lines are very reload sounding. Like you could hear a little bit of that still in there, which is very bizarre. And I would say in one of the strongest contenders for worst Metallica song ever written is Purify.
Absolutely. They barely had anything in the tank when the album started. They're like running on empty at this point. Like this is like Hallmark CD era. We got 80 minutes. We're going to fill all 80 minutes, even though we shouldn't. I should also say, I listened to this album a lot. Before streaming, when you bought a CD, that's what you had. You spent your money and you had your CD wallet. And I've listened to this album like a lot. Like when I was younger, I like tried to justify it being good because I had spent so much time with, not like overtly, but like I remember me and my friend, they did a thing where their like little Metallica headquarters studio thing where they played all the songs live, and that makes it more tolerable.
Oh,
because
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if anyone has a like morbid curiosity, like it's not a cure-all, but it does make them more charming.
I was a kid when this album came out, and I was so excited that there was new Metallica. I couldn't believe that there was new Metallica music because
that was the thing.
Yeah, since I didn't listen to them for years. I mean, I was a kid, but for years, like the last thing I had to go on was fucking Garage Inc., and that's like obviously. So when this came out, I listened to it religiously. I would play guitar along to the live version of it, the with them playing in the studio or the rehearsal space. I played. I mean, I heard this album so much, and it after a while, like a year later, when I was a little bit older, I was like, I don't think I ever need to hear that ever again. Like I don't have any desire to ever hear that again.
It's like this and like the Star Wars prequels are just such great metaphors for the early aughts.
And it's so fascinating because in the doc, Kirk was talking about the solo, because there's no solos on the album, not a single solo on the entire album. And they that's kind of what I'm pretty sure Bob Rock is a fucking tool. He wanted was like, yeah, no solos. I think Lars was pushing for no solos also. And Kirk was like, listen, man, we don't have to do a solo every song. But if we don't do it, we're gonna date the album to this period. And it's gonna sound yes, and it's exactly what the album and the compromise that Bob Rock came up with was like, well, how about we just do it when it feels right, when it feels natural? And Kurt was like, please, that's all I want. That's all I want. And ended up with no solos. But he was completely right. Yes, it feels like 2003. And that is exactly what they were trying to avoid.
I mean, I didn't bring it up because I really don't think solos would save anything here.
It wouldn't. No, it wouldn't make the songs, but it would spark something. It would be like, okay, that's still not just bland section for section for section.
Yes, it's something to build around at least.
It's something that even if it's just a shitty solo in a shitty song, it's something that changes the what you're hearing dramatically. Whereas these songs are 7-8 minutes and they're just riff after riff after riff after riff. And that's just, it's too much, man. That's just, especially when the riffs are all just these really simple down-tuned things.
Yeah, chuggy, fast stuff.
Yeah, so this fucking sucks. But we got Robert Trujillo.
We did, yes. Bless that man.
Bless that man.
I think we talked on it on episode 2. Like, it's so crazy that he's like been in the group longer than Jason.
He's
like
been, his longest bassist. He's their most consistent bassist. It's crazy.
Yeah, and good for him. Like you said, he is the guy who like deserves it.
He definitely deserved it. So this piece says they filmed a meeting with Down and Corrosion conformity member Pepper Keenan, a trusted friend of the band. At the time, revealed some of the dilemmas they faced ahead of the selection process. But while Keenan opines that they needed a bassist who could play, sing, and write, it's arguable the then dominant songwriting partnership of Hetfield and Ulrich wouldn't be too concerned about the latter. Nevertheless, when rehearsals began, they had some tough choices because the field of candidates was so strong. If you want somebody to just play the friggin' bass, that's easy, noted Keenan, but I know you don't. The players included Caius, The Obsessed, and Una Man Scott Reeder. Holy crap.
That's my dude. That's my dude. Like I would have been so enamored by him. I was like, we don't need to bring in anyone else. That is.
Yeah. Check out episode on Caius.
I don't know if he would fit though, to be fair.
Right.
I just personally like his style and his playing.
Hollywood Vampires, Chris Wise, James Addiction's Eric Avery. Check out episode on James Addiction. And Point of Powers while you're at it. Former Marilyn Manson, A Perfect Circle man, Jordy White or Twiggy Ramirez. Nine Inch Nails, Danny Lohner, and former Suicidal Tendencies, Infectious Grooves, and Ozzy Osbourne bassist Rob Trujillo.
At the time, that felt so like random and out of left field.
It did,
especially because my knowledge of music wasn't like what it is now. But now it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, definitely. This piece goes on to say, it was between me and Trujillo, Keenan later revealed to 100%rock.com before laughing. Yeah, I was cool with it until I saw the movie and saw Trujillo get a check for $1 million. It was all good until I saw that part. Then I'm like, wait a second now. That's what happens in the movie. They invite him back. They're like, we want you to be a real member. And to show you that we're serious, we're going to give you $1 million. And he's like,
up front.
It looked like he was going to start crying. He's like,
Suicidal Tendencies ain't making that kind of money.
Fuck, no, they're not.
Although I would think...
first album's great. And then How I Left Tomorrow is also very good.
Although... what's going on in Ozzy Osbourne that Trujillo wasn't getting paid properly?
Well, he's a hired gun in Ozzy Osbourne. He's a member of Metallica.
No, I understand that. I understand that difference, but still, like Ozzy's doing like stadiums and the Ozfest.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it's a much dirtier game with that kind of stuff, and I'm sure he was doing all right.
Sharon.
Sharon is she's a gal banshee.
The worst.
Yeah. I'm sure he was doing okay. I think he was getting by because I think it showed like a clip.
No, I'm sure he's living comfortably.
It showed one clip of him in this room. It might have been his room, and it looked like a tiny little shitty apartment. Like it looked like a really shitty small. So I was like, if that's where he's living, God bless that man. I guess. So it goes on to say, we all know how it ended. And Trujillo's ability to play Master of Puppets opener Battery with his fingers clearly impressed Hetfield, Hammett, and Ulrich early on. Hammett even noticed how his fingerstyle approach on songs, quote, hadn't been played that way since Cliff. He was the first guy of any of them that didn't look like he was struggling with it, noted Ulrich in the film. With some of the other guys, it was sort of 10% over their capabilities, and I don't feel that with this guy at all. For Hetfield, it was Trujillo's second audition that sealed the deal. The second time he came back, that for me made me realize you make us play better, man, he told the new bassist. You make the band so much better, so solid. In the video above, we even get to see the touching moment when the band and its inner circle embraced Trujillo as a member of Metallica for the first time. Oh, brings a fucking tear to my eye. Oh,
that's the only silver lining here, really.
Yeah, because he is an insanely good bass player. I mean, unbelievably good. He's like one of the greats. Yeah. But he's just some dude from fucking East LA. Like
I love it.
He wears jerseys all the time. He looks like a guy that I fucking went to high school with.
I love him. I love Art Cruz from Lamb of God, like representing El Monte, which is like a guy from El Monte is in a metal band from Richmond, Virginia. I love it so much. Like it makes you appreciate how interconnected the world is in like a cool way.
Yeah, and we said this on our part 2 episode, but he deserves it. He's the right age. He put in his fucking dues. He came up like from the same era from like the 80s and stuff. Like, he's been around the block. He's been doing it the longest, and he's been consistent. He's an insanely good. He's not like, I mean, Cliff is just a legend because yes, he died young, which made him more legendary, but also he was very, very creative and a good songwriter. And the stuff he was doing in a metal band was really weird. His tone was really weird. He was a special guy, but in terms of chops, Trujillo is just as good. And it's like, if you can get, you can get that, man. That's crazy. That's good. You're as good as Cliff. Fuck yeah.
Also, on a minor thing, like, no one really looks like Trujillo. Like, I don't know what he's like. He'll do like the
the braids,
the braids, and I don't know if he's like the crab walking thing.
It's the crab walking, the crab walking stuff is wild.
It's like a little goofy, but it's like no one like looks like there is no mainstream bass player who like performs the way he does. Yeah. So he's got that like cool X factor too.
I like Jason a lot, but he was just a guy on the stage with him for the, especially when like during like the 90s when they all cut their hair, he just seemed like some guy on stage with him. Trujillo, even though it's like a bizarre out of place kind of thing, he's like, oh, that's a guy to look at, to be entertained. He's definitely a spectacle on his own, which is very fun.
Y'all ever see someone grab the neck of their bass and swing it around like they're doing a pro wrestling move? Like, now you have
pretty cool stuff. So the cover art for, I'm not going to talk about the cover for all these, but for this one, it's the first cover art done by Pusshead, and it's like,
which is crazy because
he's the greatest, and the one album that he got is this one.
He's done such cool T-shirts and logos for them, and like, it's crazy.
It's a shame. It is a cool cover. It's like a simple, cool cover. I like the cover.
Mm-hmm.
I love Pusshead, but man, give him another shot, please. Like,
I agree. I agree. Yeah.
I didn't see this. I wish I saw this. This is from Tom. It says, I strongly recommend that people check out Saint Banger by Michael Shea. You can find it on YouTube and download it for free. Here's what he had to say. He says, this is a bastardized re-recording of Metallica's album Saint Anger. The songs are shorter, the production is better, and the snare drum is more tolerable. I took some creative liberties with the songs and did what I thought would benefit them, everything has been re-recorded from the ground up except for the vocals, which were extracted from the original album.
Oh, wow. I mean, the vocals are one of my problems, but like, it might be good.
Speaking of the vocals, this is like the gruffest and craziest he's ever sounded and will ever sound again. His voice cracks here. He screams a lot more. He's gruffer. I don't hate his vocals so much, but I am very curious about Saint Banger. And I recognize this thumbnail.
Okay, you've heard of this.
I've seen the thumbnail. It's Saint B in brackets and then anger. And then the cover has the meme with like the bearded bald guy pointing with his mouth open.
Yeah.
It's all over that. Honestly, I'm going to check this out after. I'm very curious because it's 54 minutes as opposed to 75 minutes. That's a little better, huh?
That is better.
So yeah, check that out. Holy shit. Yeah, we spent we're already over an hour into the episode. We've talked about one album. So we're going to try to move a little faster. We had to spend some time on this one because it's fucking crazy. We're going to spend a lot more time on another one also because fuck it. But
we're really here for two things.
Yes. Yes. So both Alex and my worst and least favorite from this whole era. It's nuts.
It's
But
the worst of the
know,
worst.
The fact that I like riffs off Frantic, I like riffs off Dirty Window. I don't think it's the worst of the worst. I think it's close to it though. I think it's pretty fucking bad. But now we're on to Robert Trujillo's first actual recording with a band.
Yes.
And now their first ever time working with Rick Rubin, which should have happened a decade before this, at least a decade before this.
A long time ago, yeah.
Early 90s should have been, or mid 90s should have been when this happened. But whatever, we got Rick Rubin. And here we go, baby. This is 2008's Death Magnetic.
I forgot about the heartbeats.
Same.
Clean intro, which we haven't heard since.
It's already fucking better.
It's already way better.
Yeah.
You could hear the bass in a Metallica album. That little fucking lead is very, very nice.
It's like dark. It sounds like Metallica.
Feels like Metallica too. That's not always a good thing, all right? But it's in this case, I think it is.
I agree with that. Yes.
It's a classic Metallica intro.
Which I didn't think we were ever going to hear again, honestly.
Yeah, no way. This is Metallica as fuck. Post-Justice Metallica. Solid riff.
Drums sound great.
Oh, and I love it. I love it. So, all these songs are... Oh, this rules. Okay, so we haven't even gotten to the chorus yet because these songs are so long.
Unfortunately, this is a long episode already. I don't want to put the whole fucking song on. The chorus goes in a very Dyer's Eve kind of direction. It's very anthemic, very catchy. Best
personal favorite.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. It's crazy, obviously, though. It's weird, obviously.
I didn't know what my best personal favorite was going to be. I hadn't listened to this in in a long time. I think when it came out, I took it for granted, and I was like still very much discovering like newer, more exciting things. So I was like, why do I like in what world am I going to listen to this album when I have like the 5 classic albums? But like now being older and more mature and like I'm like comfortable in the world of music, like I can like confidently say this is a great album.
It's a great album. It's their 6th best album, but that's like, it sounds kind of like weird saying, oh, it's their 6th best album, but because the other 5 are incredible, this is
Absolutely.
it's just a notch below the Black Album for me, which would be my 5th favorite. And it's weirdly good. I'm confused. I'm so confused because they went from being lost, to say the least,
Yes.
into, it's just, you can maybe attribute to the power of Rick Rubin, but I don't know how much he actually did with them. His whole talent is really just making people comfortable so that they can be themselves. But it sounds like that's what happened.
Yeah, because something that this album has that the rest of the albums, like, well, not talking about Lulu because that's just in its own category, but Hardwire and 72 Seasons, this is fun. This is like an energy and a passion. Like it does not feel like they're going through the motions just to go through the motions. Like there's tangible stuff I can grab onto and that gets stuck in my head on this album.
Get stuck in our head. It's an album with intention. You feel how much they needed to prove something on this album. And it was not like an insecure kind of way, just in like, no, we know what we can do. Let's prove that we can do this. And it lands. So one thing is that they kind of revisited their tried and true formula of not just long songs, but we're going to throw a ballad at track 4. We're going to have a very lengthy instrumental. We're going to bring it back to kind of complicated Justice era thrash a little bit more simplified, but in the same level. It's really just a combination of the Black Album and Justice if you're going to simplify it. But it really is its own thing in terms of the songwriting, because I think there's some of their best hooks are on here. Some of their coolest songs are on here. It is so consistent. The pacing is sound. It has good ass pacing, which we're not going to get again. Really, we're not going to get good pacing again.
No.
And spoiler alert, The Day That Never Comes is the last Metallica ballad that we have as of today.
I didn't even like put that together because I was this navigating chaos.
It's insane that's the last time they did it. When they've always had ballads on heavy albums that felt like a breath of fresh air. They're always super well written, really interesting and melodic and pretty. And they always have some heaviness in there, but it's a beautiful pacer. And I love that song. I love this song. I think it works beautifully as a pacer, as a ballad.
I think when I realized I had to give it up to this album was I had listened to it a few times. I just like kind of forgot about it. And I heard the pretty riffs from The Day That Never Ends out of context. Never comes. I heard it like out of like I just heard it. I forget what it was for. It was playing. I was like, damn, that's fucking cool. I know this. What is it? And they didn't even play the vocal part. They just like played it like real quick. I was like, fuck, that's like at the time, the latest Metallica. Like, yeah. And I think that's like a true sign when you can like give it up and you don't really have like the proper context for it. So
yeah, it's a objectively great song, great riffs, super well written. And yeah, it feels a little bit like The Force Awakens, which did it come out the same year? No, I don't know what year it came out.
No. These are spread.
No, that was like 2015. I don't know what the fuck year. Yeah. Time doesn't mean anything. It feels a little bit like that, where okay, we're gonna get the ballad on track 4. All right, But as soon as it gets going, it's like, God damn it, it's a good song. What can you say?
I know it's a weird compare. I think this is like better because like Force Awakens now
It's better.
feels,
Yes, better than the Force Awakens. Yes, I will say yes.
I get what you're saying. Like that feels regressive. Like what I thought this album was initially all those years ago. And yeah, I think the other thing is like they're making like by the time Broken Beat and Scarred comes on, they're making it seem easy. Whenever you're just kind of like getting lost in an album and it's going by at like a good pace, like it's actually not easy. Like you were kind of saying something about that where like when your ears hear something off and you don't understand, or like you like it, you just like it, you don't know why it's working. They're tapped into that here. They know what's working.
Yeah. It certainly feels that way. It's an easy listen. These are long songs. And it's a long album.
That's my only. I think some of these songs could be trimmed. I think some of them do earn the length, but that's like my main criticism with this album. It's just like this because you guys are known for long songs in your prime doesn't mean they all have to be long.
Yeah, yeah. They a lot of these could have been short and it would have been better. And but still, it's an interesting thing where you hear songs like the end of the line where that clean break around 6 minutes in really sounds like Load and Reload era, but it's a brief little section that mixes up the song. It's not the whole, it just dips in this little moment and reminds you, oh yeah, they did do that one time they did in the 90s. They did do stuff like that. And then it's back to thrash. So it actually feels like a well-rounded package. It fits in surprisingly well.
It does. And I think they do that well where they're able to dip. And it's not even like they don't do hard rock well. It was just a very like misguided attempt at hard rock. As we talked about. Like I even think like the sorry to go back to The Day That Never Comes, like that, you could have argued that could fit on a Load album, certain parts, but they definitely did. There are stupid lyrics here. I don't
probably I didn't really pay as much attention to these because they didn't jump out to me as hilariously as the previous album.
Love is a 4-letter word.
Oh, that's bad. Yeah.
That is bad. I also don't like the way All Nightmare Long sounds. Like even saying it feels weird.
All Nightmare Long. I don't mind it. I think it's a cute pun. Although the opening clean riff reminds me of something like a Western, Wherever I May Roam.
It does, and that one is like the crunchiest song on the album. I like it.
Yeah, it's great. I like it a lot. Cyanide was one of the singles, I think, if I'm not misremembering.
Yes, and that's another one where you could have put that on Load and Reload, but you got these like galloping riffs on there.
I'm surprised at how much I like it. I think that chorus is one of the best choruses they've done in years, of course.
Oh, wow.
It reminds me of the Black Album. Like, it's a soup. I mean, that chorus is very hooky. I mean, it gets in your head, man. It doesn't let go.
To me, one of the biggest surprises on this album has got to be Unforgiven 3.
The Unforgiven
I'm not even
3. I know you're not. It's a great song. I know
it is. Stupid saying it.
It's so stupid to say it.
But it's completely different than 1 and 2.
Completely.
They should have figured out a way to sing Unforgiven 3, though.
It would have been a masterclass in songwriting if they did.
The same way he figured out to sing Unforgiven 2. Should have.
Twice, 3 times Unforgiven. That'd be one way to do it.
Yeah, something, yeah. They're getting paid the big bucks.
Also, the intro to that has not only one of the most beautiful things they've ever done, it's the first time I think they've ever had piano on a song, is on the intro to Unforgiven 3, and it has these strings on there. Gorgeous ass intro. And then the verse really feels like Reload, but better.
Yes.
Yeah, it reminds me, if I had to pick which one it reminds me more of, it reminds me more of The Unforgiven 2, honestly, but still better. It's a little, the whole, forgive me not section is a little corny. You could probably do without that,
Sure.
but it has like the section that follows that is very good. It works, man. It fucking works. It's a second place Unforgiven song. That's not bad.
It's a weird trilogy. Usually the second one gets a little darker, a little more action packed. I can't really think of a trilogy where like the third one like redeems the series and brings it back, but Unforgiven does.
I'll tell you how. Devil May Cry.
Okay,
the video games.
I'm not. I don't feel well versed enough in those games to advocate.
First one was a genre inventor. The second one was a pile of crap. The third one innovated another genre. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Some nerd shit for you guys. And then we're back to some elaborate thrashy shit with the Judas Kiss.
That is my least favorite song on the album.
Really? It's my second least favorite. But okay. It does not warrant 8 minutes. I'll give you that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I would say none of the riffs are bad or boring, just not spectacular.
Yes. And then Suicide Redemption came on. I was like, 10 minutes. I don't fucking know, guys. What are we doing here? But there's nasty riffs on there. I got 4 minutes. I was like, 4 minutes has passed. This is pretty good. And then at the end, I was like, hell yeah.
Holy shit. That's my least favorite song on the album.
I understand that. I get it.
So aside from it being, which makes me laugh at this point in their discography, 2 seconds short of 10 minutes, they've come within like 10 seconds of 10-minute songs so many times. They never cross the threshold. So 2 seconds is pretty funny to me. Yeah. I feel like this song for me ran its course at 7 minutes. If it was 7 minutes,
when you tapped out.
I would be good with it at 7 minutes. After that, I was like, God damn it, just enough.
I think I do agree with you. It's probably a stronger song if they do that.
Yeah. And then pulling out another Dyer's Eve situation, My Apocalypse, with the shortest song as the closer, fucking intense, amazing. I mean, I love it. It's one of the strongest on the album. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. Just open with the Ripper, end with the Ripper. Why not?
Yes. I think they still do that in the future. Like they still kind of stick to that as much as they can, opening strong and closing strong. But this is really the one where they went deep. They dug in deep and they found Metallica again. And they pulled it out. Yeah. It wasn't redundant. It wasn't sad or boring or just like a rehashing, or it was like, we know what we did in the past. We're going to show appreciation for it. Throw on some of the stuff that we've done since then, all the 90s. So we're going to throw little bits of it in there, never too much. We're going to keep it raw and keep it angry, but we're still growing. This is really enough people have said this over time, but this would have been, honestly, it couldn't have come at a different time. It sounds like it should have come after Justice, but it also seems like it could have maybe made sense after the Black Album. It really doesn't. Like, the more I think about it, the more I listen to it, this is an album that needed to be made and come out in 2008. Like, you hear the lessons learned in this album. It's crazy.
I think also when it came out, I felt so like betrayed and hurt by Saint Anger that like I didn't want to say this was a good album, because I'm like, what if it's not? I'm just confused now, guys. I don't know what I like.
Yeah. I remember when it came out, I was into metal. Well, no, I might have been a little bit before, but either way, it wasn't far off from me being like super into thrash, and I just was indifferent. I thought like, it's Metallica. They're old now. I don't care. I'm listening to underground bullshit from the 80s. I'll maybe one day. And then I think at a certain point, like maybe 2011, 2010 or something, I finally heard, I thought, yeah, it's good. All right. Good job, guys. Good job. That's good. But
I'm just like giving it all its flowers in 2025.
Yeah.
Like I can confidently say wouldn't have a problem revisiting this album, and I will revisit this album.
I have revisited this album over the years. I will revisit it again. I think it's a great album. I love Metallica. This is among why Metallica is great. I would consider this part of the whole legacy of why Metallica is great.
Never say never, but this is probably the last great album they're ever going to do.
Probably, but you never know. I mean,
I love to be proven wrong.
Saint Anger did get made. All right. And then this came after that. So you never know. They are old, but you never know.
People bounce back. People do odd things.
They sure do. This is from Metallica.com. It says the break saw Metallica once again reevaluate their creative options, and thus in the early 2006, they decided to make a new album with a new producer, Rick Rubin, who encouraged the band to return to their early roots. Good job, Rick. He really does get it fucking nail in the head like crazy sometimes.
Yeah, I know sometimes bands say he doesn't do much, but goddamn if his name isn't on a bunch of cool shit.
That's the thing. I think the not doing much is part of it. It'll sound like I'm blowing him, but I've read enough of his words to know, like, this is not a guy who's bullshitting. Like, only creative people can know this because they've experienced it. He has this weird thing where if you need him, he's there to like give you these gentle little pushes and nudges and little suggestions, just very gently. Like he talks about how he got Johnny Cash to cover Hurt. He did it in such a subtle way. Like he just kept sending the song over. He would put it at the beginning, like he sent it over, and then when he wouldn't get a response about it, he sent it over again, but it would be at the beginning of the mixtape that he sent him. He would just keep nudging, like, have you heard this one?
Yeah.
He does things in such a graceful, like subtle way that lets people relax and just be creative. That's why he's great. People think he's like a phony or a fraud, but I stand by it because there's things that we don't get about just letting go and relaxing. And that's where art comes from. It comes from the letting go. And that's my little spiel. But
side note, when I went to see Nine Inch Nails afterwards, I very loudly, audibly told my friend, wow, I can't believe they covered that Johnny Cash song very audibly just to piss off people.
Nice. Watch Alex get punched in the face for that.
Cowards. No one told me.
I know.
Yeah.
This piece goes on to say, with engineer Greg Feidelman doing day-to-day sessions as Rubin oversaw everything, Death Magnetic was released on September 12th, 2008, a more organically made album. It was the perfect fusion of Metallica's early past and their increasingly experimental future, and the popular response was tremendous. The album smashing album charts at #1 everywhere.
Interesting note about that, and I don't know if it's on the notes, but I'm gonna say it. They smartly or disingenuously, depending on where you land, surveyed the music landscape, and on their mega popular arena tour, every ticket came with a copy of Death Magnetic.
Oh, that's crazy. That's pretty good. It's good stuff.
So they probably would have got #1 anyways, but a huge part of that was everyone who went to that tour had a copy of the album.
So it counted as a purchase. That'll do it.
It's smart, or knowing what the music industry is now, I think it's smart.
It's smart, but also at this point, I think it's Metallica. They're going to do it. They're like the last big metal band along with like Slipknot, but they're grandfathered in from they're beyond. They're beyond.
Yeah.
So I think they're always going to just be #1, no matter how much.
No, I remember there was like a lot of hubbub. Well, of course they're #1. Like,
yeah, I suppose so.
They're gonna get it anyways.
Yeah,
come on.
And then this is in 2010 is where the very first Big Four tour with Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax.
Yep,
that's pretty sick, man. Like
that was
finally
sick.
First time ever.
I remember going to the movie theaters to watch it, and it was fun. It's not the same. And then they did it where they do Coachella, and I think by the time it had come here, I was like, I'm over it. I think like Hanneman was also sick at the time. So
yeah, that's not exactly without Hanneman. That I'm just grateful I got to see Slayer with Hanneman. Yeah, I'm very grateful.
Same.
Yeah.
Grateful. I've only seen them with Lombardo.
Me too.
Offense.
Yeah, I only saw them once, and it was with Lombardo and Hanneman. Yeah.
Although I have unfortunately seen Kerry King's solo band now.
Oh, have you?
They're not bad.
No, it's not bad. I had listened to the album he put out last year.
Yeah, they opened up for Mastodon and Lamb of God.
Oh, okay, that's not bad. Yeah, but it's fine. Yeah, but Now
Now the meat
everybody.
and potatoes, the main event.
Now we're
What-
here, buddy. Oh
what
God, here
I'm
we go.
yeah, what I'm most excited to talk about.
Okay, so now right here it says 2011 saw them seduced into a collaboration with one of the legendary godfathers of punk and alternative music, Lou Reed, who had pushed for such a thing since the Hall of Fame gig in 2009 on an album project based around writing by Frank Wedekind about a 19th century French prostitute named Lulu, which Reed then reinterpreted. He in turn built a series of song frameworks and invited Metallica to come in and fill the space spontaneously. Thus, work began in late April at HQ, and which is Metallica's headquarters. And the subsequent album, Lulu, was released on October 31st, 2011.
Real quick, I know when Lars got that phone call, he fucking creamed his jeans so fucking. Lou Reed is who Lars wants to be.
I don't think he should want to be him. I like Lou
He
Reed. I
does,
don't like
though.
Velvet Underground. But
I do, but yeah. Anyways,
here we go, babe.
That's-
Yeah, this is what we've all been waiting for. This is with Lou Reed, 2011's Lulu.
it's surreal. This is happening.
Yeah, baby.
This dog getting a negative accolade. That's
That's
crazy.
how bad Saint Anger is.
I would cut my legs and tits off when I think of Boris Karloff and Kinski in the dark.
Listen to these words, man.
It made me dream of Nosferatu, trapped on the Isle of Dr. Moreau.
He didn't even live long enough to see Robert Edgar's Nosferatu. That bums me.
Lovely.
It's the James part slow.
Produced well.
It's the riffs aren't actually the song actually isn't bad. This is just insane though. Also, Lou Reed died 2 years. He's like on his deathbed. It's not even the funniest song on the album. I'm so thankful this album got made.
Personal favorite.
Oh shit, you're choosing violence. I kind of get it. I kind of get it.
love this album so much.
I kind of get it. Okay, here's my pitch to make that song better.
Don't change a thing.
Don't change a thing. But to make it a legitimately good song, like maybe you play the ride instead of open hi-hat and you kind of bring Lou Reed's vocals up more. That's an idea. It wouldn't like make it legitimately good, but there's a lot to talk about here.
Some of these, I didn't write down enough. I didn't write down any lyrics, but the parts that I picked
I
up.
wrote down lyrics.
Thank you. I knew you would.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
one that my lady friend sent me because she wanted to hear it after my praising of it. She
Yeah.
screenshotted one of the lyrics and it's from that song. And it's like the introduction to the whole album is I dreamt of breezes going through the treeses.
The trees is
Not
yeah.
the trees. The
The treeses.
treeses.
He's from New York. It's like use guys.
That's not use guys is from Philly, actually. But
Whatever.
but it's crazy. It's fucking crazy. It's absolutely so.
Just because we're on the topic of crazy lyrics, and I do want to like circle back to this song because I want to talk about like the music. The craziest fucking lyrics to me, because it's like 2011, is on Pumping Blood. I thought like he says something about weighing his ass like a dog prostitute, which is crazy. It's crazy, but it's funny. And then he just says like a colored man's dick, and I lost it. I paused the album. I went for a walk without listening to music. I was like, whoo.
Well, he
holy shit.
They would say that back then. It's even in his most famous song.
Yeah, 2011.
Yeah. The man just sort of like does what he does. I guess he just never changed his ways, but dude.
So, yeah.
So the lyrics are like that throughout all 1 hour and 30 minutes of this fucking album. They are the craziest, most nonsensical, hilarious dog shit you could possibly imagine, which is already good. Already great that you have the most ridiculous dog shit, stupid, funny fucking lyrics. But the way to make it better is if you're a crazy old man mumbling tunelessly over the entire thing, which is the whole album. It's the whole thing.
It's like there was a spoken word album and then there's Metallica music thrown in there. And also, to justify the crazy lyrics, we're recording this on the day that David Lynch died. So R.I.P.
Yeah.
To another maniac.
One of the greatest. One of the greatest maniacs.
One of the greatest to ever do it. He probably loved this album. David Lynch would love this album.
Oh man. Yeah.
I hope he heard it. Yeah.
Dude, the only thing that would be better than this album is if it was David Lynch doing the lyrics instead of Lou Reed. That's the only thing that I think would make it better. Because it makes me laugh so it's very rare that albums get genuine laughs out of me. This made me laugh so much. It brought joy to me. I love this album. It's
like this and Mescal.
Mescal. Check out episode on Mescal.
Yeah. I was like, well, this is gonna get something. This is not good. I always think of the single Iced Honey, which for my money is the funniest song. It doesn't have such like verbose, like stupid lyrics like we heard, but it's this James singing Iced Honey.
Yeah. I think some of the,
and then it's just so funny because Lou Reed is like in his 70s and he sings, I've tried a million chicks, and I'm it's like, you and me both, brother. It's just like some like trash hicks,
dude,
sitting around. I've tried a million chicks, brother.
Oh God, I love it. So here's the thing about this album and even that song. Musically, it's not bad. It's not bad.
It just doesn't. It's like this. It's just two foods that don't belong together.
I think they belong perfectly together. I think we're in a fucked up universe that this even exists, and I'm so happy for it.
No, I'm stoked it exists.
The actual songs and riffs here, they're the opener, Brandenburg Gate. It's not, it's just happy 3 chords over and over again. It's really not a quality riff, but it feels nice. It's well produced and it's very funny. So I end up loving the song.
It's the most like rooted in Velvet Underground, I think.
Probably. But other stuff here has like good riffs, good moments. And also, which I was very surprised by, it has Metallica at their most dynamic ever. They have never been this experimental or quiet or going extreme with dynamics, and it's fascinating. They're good at it. It sounds good. It's a really cool take to have this heavy band doing this sort of floaty, less structured stuff in a way that's not fucking Saint Anger. Like this is like real experimentation.
My issue for me is that comes at more towards the tail end of the album, because there's songs like The Fucking View where, again, I'm like, Lars, I know you love that fucking open hi-hat. Like, you probably love it as much as your shitty art. It's just like, he loves it so much. And like, The View has these like crunchy, heavy parts that fucking rule. And I think James's, like, his voice, not his lyrics, but his voice, this is the last song he sounds great on. I like his performance on The View so much. And I'm like, I'm craving, like, I want the drums replaced with like a slow Dale Crover-esque playing style instead of Lars and his fucking like, and I know he did that fucking face too when he's playing it. And it's just like, I remember, I forget who said it. It was someone in a band. They argued that, and I agree with them, that, you know, this should have been done with like the Melvins, the Butthole Surfers, Swans. If he makes that choice instead, I think this is like a legitimately like amazing album.
Perhaps, indeed. Those are much more welcoming of the craziness, and it's not so. But it is oil and water for sure.
Yeah, but because it's fucking Metallica, and they're trying their hardest. They just, and it's fucking funny and it's fascinating. So it's like, I'm talking about it in two contexts. I'm talking about like legitimately where I'm like, this is fucking insane, and like the like chaotic pure experimentation where I'm like, this is also fucking like, it's good and bad at the same time.
It is definitely that. For The View, I didn't have any problem with Lars' drumming. I wasn't bothered by the hi-hat stuff so much I didn't even notice it in my listens. But I do like the chunky riffs in The View. And nothing in the world will ever top James screaming that he is the tablet and then he is the table. Because he is the table, damn it, and I'm happy for him. And from time to time, the first time we get it is on Pumping Blood, but we get it a few times. Are these odd string sections that are really, really cool sounding, quite nice. They're not just traditional. I don't know how they're getting that exact tone, but it's very cool sound.
Like Pumping Blood, I really do like it's weird. They're almost channeling these like creeping dead riffs, and then like there are these minimal parts that are real, like I think they're great.
I like it a lot. There's a lot of great little, I think the one section you're talking about is like around 2 minutes in. It's this kind of eerie clean section, and I think it's great. It's one of the most loosest, most experimental things Metallica's ever done. That's a very cool section, made hilarious by the vocals, and then even the outro has these really nice guitar harmonies.
Reed's old man vocals are like the funniest on this song for me. I mean, it's funny front to back, but like highlight of how strained his vocals are over this fucking. And he's not trying to sing; he's doing Lou Reed stuff. But
he can't sing. The man has never been able to sing in his entire life.
No,
but I mean, it's hilarious, yes, but I was actually blown away by how shitty his voice is mixed. Because
it's mixed bad.
It's what it sounds like. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like Metallica went in the studio, recorded an album, mixed it, mastered it, and then some old guy found it and used a tape recorder and recorded his voice on top of the completed record. That's what it sounds like. His voice is just sitting on top of it's weird.
So I found like a quick interview with Lars and Lou Reed, and it pissed me off because I forgot what Lars. I mean, his voice is always in my head, but like I hadn't heard him speak in in so long. Lars said that they had like a more collaborative thing planned, and like at the last second, Reed's like, "Do you guys want to take a walk on the wild side?" And Lars is like, I'll go anywhere. Sorry, he doesn't talk.
Go anywhere.
He's like, I'll go anywhere with you, Moo.
Yeah.
And he had these like floaty like demos, and he was saying this was the first time like Metallica was like taking directions and starting with the lyrics, because they're a riff band and then they add lyrics. So I thought that was interesting that Lou Reed had these ideas and kind of sonic structures he brought to them already, and they like somehow built upon that.
It explains the simplicity of the songs for sure. So my internet went out and there was a whole big gap of time between this moment and the last moment. But picking up where we left off. Yeah. So Lou Reed brought the stuff for them to work around, and it really shows, because while there are a lot of good riffs on here, the riffs that I think are pretty damn cool, like Mistress Dread, which is like, oh, that's a really cool thrash riff, except it goes on for 7 fucking minutes. The song is 7 minutes. That riff doesn't change for 5 out of the 7 minutes. So
I don't know why. Like on Saint Anger, I would hate that. For some reason, on Mistress Dread, I legitimately like that song.
I like it too. I like it too. But the thing is, it shouldn't have gone on for 5 minutes. The reason I believe it went on for 5 minutes is because they had to fill up all that time with his bullshit lyrics.
Yeah.
So that's the problem of making music around lyrics, is that lyrics become the focal point, which isn't exactly why we listen to music, because that's listening to poetry at that point, or whatever the fuck. If we're just listening to it for the words, we're not listening to it for the music. So you end up getting the same riff played for 5 minutes straight, even if it is a cool riff.
That song is when I was like, we're going to have a problem here. Saint Anger might take it all.
Yeah. And boy, did it. And I like Ice Honey. It's a cool melodic, heavy main riff. I dig it. God damn it.
Did you look up any of the performances of these songs?
No, I did not.
You absolutely need to.
I didn't even realize that there were any. I think
they did one. I think they did one show, and thankfully they recorded it.
Thank God.
It's pro shot. It's not like fan. Yeah. Like, it's good quality. And you know what? Even if people don't like these songs, they pull them off. They pull them off live.
I'm interested, because
it's just such a sight too. It's just such a, like, you thought like Metallica playing with the symphony was surreal. No, that like makes all the sense in the, because like they don't care that they're playing with Lou Reed. They're doing Metallica thing. Like they're playing like they're doing a Metallica show. It's fucking amazing.
That's wonderful. And the fact that there is stuff that I genuinely enjoy on here, but I only really, really, really enjoy it because of how fucked up and stupid the vocals are. And like, because these are, honestly, if the vocals were sung straight, if they were sincere, I mean, these are sincere, but you know what I mean? If they were sung, if they were written, if it was just James singing all these, I would say this is a bad, boring, meandering album. But because the lyrics are so outlandish, it is my favorite, because it turns the basis or the foundation, which is cool riff that's run into the ground. Cool riff played for fucking 8, 10, 11 minutes. Way too long. You ruin the song at that point. There's no reason for it, but it's not ruined because I'm constantly laughing at the vocals. So it Three Stooges its way into being enjoyable. Like it fell over itself into being fun.
I think once the shock and awe wears off, the second half of this album is also
long.
It's long, but that's when those dynamics come in. And because there's actual dynamics and parts that don't sound like Metallica, those are like the most fascinating to me. I'm like out, if they're actually good, but like the opening of Cheat on Me is just so like beautiful and surreal and is unlike anything Metallica's ever done. And I know Lars was dying. He couldn't be smashing his fucking open hi-hat. And it's just, I feel like James and Reed are also at odds with each, like their voices together. It's part of what makes it funny. It doesn't make any sense. That's the only song where I'm like, oh shit, they've like figured out a way to like coherently coexist.
That intro is absolutely beautiful. It's so well done, especially when the bass comes in. So nice. And then, but it's funny because I found James to be almost as bad as Reed on this song.
Maybe that's why it works for me. Because
maybe.
As the kids say, James wasn't matching Reed's freak, and he matched it on Cheat on Me.
Oh boy, did he. And so I like, look, this is another one sort of like Suicide and Redemption from the previous album. If Cheat on Me was 7 minutes, I'm on board. 11 and a half minutes, kind of inexcusable because it does go. I mean, it's playing that riff a lot.
I think also, again, the shock and awe has worn off at this point where I've just accepted my fate and the fate that is this album. And I don't know, like, I don't know. The run times weren't bothering me.
Holy shit. So for those who don't know, this is an hour and a half long album, but the runtime, it's specifically in the second half that's crazy because, tracks 1 through 5, it's like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 4 minutes,
Tracks 1 through 5 are exactly what you think they are. Someone took Metallica songs and Lou Reed and like smashed them together in the most like incoherent way ever.
And then tracks 6 through 10, 11 minutes, 8 minutes, 11 minutes, 19 minutes is the closer. It's much more drawn out. And it does have the moments of dynamics where, it has them being more experimental and it's way more interesting and really pretty moments. But it still does the thing of let's play the same riff for 20 minutes. It still does that.
I don't know. Maybe because I like Velvet Underground. I don't know. It doesn't bother, like, in the context of this album, and again, it's in its own ballpark. I'm not like comparing it to normal music, but it doesn't bother me on this album.
So you mean like the repetition?
Yeah,
the
like
doesn't bother.
It works for me. It feels more like on Saint Anger, it's this fucking annoying thing where they feel like they're doing it to fill time. And here it's just like you're along for the Lou Reed madness. And I don't know, like it's so crazy how this isn't even like the worst album Lou Reed's done. Metal Machine Music exists. Like
sure does. Unfortunately for the world. Well, it was a nice statement. It was a good statement, but it's a bad thing to listen to for sure.
So it sounds like a cop-out and it is pretentious, but viewing it, especially the second half of this album, as more of an art piece, it works for me.
It is better as an art piece. The thing is that also only works for me when it does get more. It's not even the repetition is bothering me. It's like the big, heavy riffness of the repetition. If it was like a lot of meandering experimental stuff, then it would at least be interesting for a while. But with like a song like Frustration, where the intro to it is super experimental, there's like some crazy stuff happening on that. I mean, it's literally doing it's Lars, which he's never done before, hitting random shit, full on experimental type drums, which is like it's actually kind of cool hearing him do something that free form.
It's the intro is kind of like distorted circus music a little bit. And I was just like, they don't have the balls to make the full song like this. And I was right.
Yes. And that's why I don't like it, because then it just goes on to play the big heavy riffs for way too long.
I was like working through my feelings on this song, and I came to the conclusion that I like it. I think it's one of the funnier songs in the back half because he sings to be spermless like a girl, which is just funny to me.
He says it a lot too, and it's very funny. Yeah, it's very funny.
And then when he says frustration is my lexicon of hate, I so badly and I wish they did it. I wish the James backup vocals were hate is a 4-letter word.
Oh, that would be a nice little match made in heaven.
Just tie it in.
Yep, there it is. However, I'm gonna say the final 3 tracks of the album, I'm on board.
Hey man, when I see
it is my favorite after all.
It is your favorite. When I see a title like Junior Dad, which makes me laugh, and it's damn near 20 minutes long. I feel like I just turned into Stone Cold Steve Austin right there.
Damn near 20 minutes long.
Hey man, see this track, Junior Dad. What was going through your head? I'm like, this is contender for comedy song of the year, right? No, I don't know why. I don't know why it works for me. It's just so
nice.
It's so nice. It's so unexpected. And like, I was like, I'm going to get burned out on Junior Dad. And I don't.
Because Junior Dad, the 19-minute runtime is a bait and switch a little bit, because it's only really, how long is it? It's only
like the last 10
minutes.
Yeah.
No, it's longer. It's like about 11 minutes of song.
Yes.
And then the final 8 minutes is pure ambient. It's pure and it's, if you're listening to an hour and a half long album, this hour and a half long album, you're already like, you're set wherever you're doing, you're set there. Mm-hmm. So having 8 minutes of gentle ambience sort of lull you down, it's not that bad. I sound like a fucking Stockholm syndrome.
Because we do, but like you really need it. Like after the chaos we've endured, you like it's a legitimately smart choice.
Yeah, seriously. And also the tracks before, I like Little Dog. It's get to this really good acoustic guitar tone on there.
There's restraint in that song. There's no drums. Like,
yep.
That might be like one of the contenders for like a legitimately good song off this album.
It is. I think it's it's still, the lyrics are still ridiculous. The vocals are still funny. Yes. But I think it's an actually good song.
Yes.
And then we get a little bit more on the spacey experimental side on Dragon. Yeah.
Dragon's funny because you would have thought Metallica would have a song about dragons, but they don't. It took
And
I don't even think
this
about literal dragons. My favorite lyric on that one is when Lou Reed says, "One fucks with."
What?
One fucks with. Like, one would go out and do this. He's saying it like that. It's written down. It's kind of weird, but in the context, it like how would one go about this? He's saying
one fucks with it. One
fucks with. Yes.
Interesting. Oh man. And also, that is the most dissonant, crazy experimental solo Kirk has ever recorded.
Hell yeah, it is. Like, I know Kirk could do things like this regularly if he wanted to.
Yeah. I bet, honestly, I don't even think, maybe he does, and maybe he just doesn't want to bring it up. Man, who knows? But
because he's the other artsy one, right? It's him and Lars. And
he's pretty artsy, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. What a it's just so fucking, like I said, it's bad and good at the same time. I'm just comparing Metallica albums to film. This is Megalopolis. You don't compare Megalopolis to other films. It's its own thing, and you just fucking accept the insanity of it.
I have obviously not seen that, but I am curious of the wackiness of it.
Hillary loves it so much. I think it's available for rent.
Hillary,
right now.
friend of the show.
Yeah, she's like, just fucking. She's like, tell me when you're gonna rent it, and I'll just Venmo you the fucking money. That's how much she loves it.
Wow.
She went to a Q&A as well on New Year's Day.
Holy crap. But for Dragon, it's another one that I felt would have been good at 6 minutes, but it runs a good riff into the ground and just keeps. But you know, it's the same. I can say the same thing about every other song.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's the only issue I have really with these later songs is just the length, and I don't mind them being long. It's just not this long. The album didn't need to be an hour and a half. It really didn't.
It probably doesn't, but I feel like it also like transcends that. Like we're not talking about something that makes sense. We're not talking about something that is of this earth.
No, this is
love.
Cthulhu himself couldn't fathom something like this.
Yes.
And I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that this album exists. It's such a piece of shit, but it's not even a piece of shit. It's not a piece. Like, it's funny to call it a piece of shit, but it's not. It's like, it's a thing with potential that got fumbled so hard in such a funny way that it's even better than if they didn't fuck it up.
It's like, it's somehow misunderstood. It's somehow really misunderstood.
I think if people went in with the right mindset, this would not have gotten the shit that it got, because just lighten up. It's fucking fun. It's funny. It's a good album. It's not a good album, but it's a good album. You know,
like I said, it's in its own ballpark. Like there was supposed to be a Tim Burton Superman movie with Nicolas Cage as Superman.
Yes.
And some people are like, thank God that never got made. And I counter, that's a damn shame that never got made. So
it's a travesty. Yeah.
So I am forever grateful for weird fucking things like this existing, because I don't want to watch a documentary about how they should exist and what they would. A documentary about this would be fucking great, but like we have it. It's tangible. Yeah. I saw this great thing about pro wrestling where they're like, there's a lot of shit in pro wrestling, but you know why it's important? Because it makes the good stuff even better. It makes you realize this shit's not easy. And I think it's the same for good music and this good art in general. Like, it's not easy. You need stuff like this.
I think it's a gift. I think it's a gift to us, and we should treat it as such and go out and fucking listen to Lulu, goddammit. Make a night of it. Get some fucking drinks, get really, really stoned, or whatever the hell you want to do.
Well, me personally, I would advise against that. But you know, if you're that type of person, then by all means,
get dangerously high and get behind the moving vehicle as well.
You might have a bad time, brother.
You might have a bad time, or you might just laugh harder than you've ever laughed in your life, because this is a very strange universe we're in. Honestly.
You might discover something about yourself the way me and Mike did. You might find these diamonds in the rough, and it's just, you might want to hate a junior dad, but then you get talking to the junior dad and you're like, made some honest mistakes. I could be a junior dad. I'm lucky I'm not. I could have been a junior dad, but I'm not.
Yes, indeed. And because of all those reasons, this is my personal favorite. Am I going to return to this album? Probably not for a while. But it doesn't matter, because it left a fucking impression. It left such a happy impression in me. And honestly, the wild swing, the fact that they took a swing this hard, they missed so hard that they spun around and did a fucking pirouette. That's what I feel this album is.
I always say the most offensive form of art is boring art. This is not boring art.
It is not boring. Yes. Hell yes. So
speaking of which,
we're on to the final two albums. This is already, I don't know, we're probably already at 2 hours. I can't tell because my time's all fucked up because of the little technical difficulty we had. But it's a long episode. We've already talked about one of these albums in the past. We're not going to spend too much time on that, but we're going to talk about this next one in as much detail as we can while still having our brains in our skulls. Are you ready, Alex?
I'm ready, but I'm also like a little sad to be leaving Lulu.
will never leave us.
It won't. It won't. It's a part of me
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah. So this is the follow-up. This is 2016's their first album with an ellipses, a trope of 80s thrash metal. 2016's Hardwired to Self-Destruct.
I would say this is a ferocious opener, and it feels pretty damn good.
Yes. Doesn't hit the same as Death Magnetic.
No, but it does come in pretty heavy, pretty fun.
It doesn't instill a false sense of security where I'm like, they've learned their lesson.
Yes. This
might be a good
very
album.
misleading,
Yeah.
very misleading opener. Because this is a cool song.
We're so fucked. Shit out of luck. Hardwired to self-destruct.
Also, it's really cool to hear like those, like starting and stopping on a dime.
the chokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the chokes are good. This album is not though. I
No,
mean,
this
Jesus
is-
Christ. What a drop off.
This, I was really hoping I'd have like some, like the same feelings I had about Death Magnetic, but I did not. This is the beginning of the we're sorry about Load and Saint Anger. We'll keep playing Metallica songs, but there's no juice there.
Yeah, this was strange. I remember when this came out and hearing it once and being like,
I think I just
Maybe
listened to it the once.
me too. I heard it once and I thought, I didn't really enjoy that. All right. But I just sort of moved on from it. This time I was able to really absorb what I don't like about it, how crazy and how far away it is from Death Magnetic in terms of just heart and songwriting and energy and diversity. This is a 75 fucking minute album of the same kind of song, more or less. There is no pacing. There is no diversity here. There are no ballads, of course. And you know what I would call this? I would call this album the thrash metal Load or Reload.
Yes, where it's like this one, your ears hear it, and you're like, initially you're like, well, there's nothing wrong. Like that's what I want. And then you absorb it, and it's like fast food. There's nothing nutritious. It's just in one ear, out the other, and due to the length time, it's fucking boring. There's nothing to really like grab onto. I think this is a weird take. I think even like with Saint Anger, there's like parts where you can say, yeah, like if I could take this one part, I can make like there's a cool song there. I don't really have that moment with these two albums.
The closest thing I have to that, because there are songs I do like on here that I think get a pass, but honestly, the bookends, Hardwired, the opener, and then Spit Out the Bone, the closer. I think Spit Out the Bone is probably the best song on the album.
Ironically, that song does, especially after that long journey, like it has a lot of meat on it. It hits really hard.
Yeah, it hits the hardest. It's the fastest along with the opener. And it has a really great breakdown around 2 minutes 40. It's aggressive, but it has like a little bit of emotion in the verse. It's like, oh, this is actually a good song. And there's other songs that I do like on here, but for the most part, they've decided to stop being fast. And it's like, and it's not just slowing it down in a way where it's like a mid-pace driving 1-2 kind of thing. They're doing it in like a hard rock kind of way. This is like a hard rock thrash, which is why I said it's like a thrash metal. It's kind of like a thrash metal Load, really, because it's bringing back the sleaziness and the hard rock style riffs, but they're just painfully average, like devastatingly average. Like the first doozy, I would call it, is Now That We're Dead.
That one, it's also weird because I feel like Metallica doesn't really write horror songs, despite Kurt being like a big horror guy.
Yeah.
And so that also like felt it'd be like someone with a vague sense of Metallica, like, okay, write a song that you think Metallica sounds like, and this is what they wrote.
It is sort of hollow, and I could probably say that about most of the songs here. You know, I could say that what you said about Now That We're Dead, I could say that about Dream No More, because and they're clearly going for a thing that should not be type thing with the Cthulhu lyrics and the heaviness, but it's like, man, boy, is this not nearly as good as the thing that should not be.
That song is crazy because it like ended and I almost like forgot about it immediately. Like I had to put it back on to like double check how I felt about it. I think it also doesn't help that it's sandwiched between two of they're flawed, but I think they're better songs on the album, with Moth into Flame, where I'm like, if I heard a local thrash band play Moth into Flame, phenomenal, great. Like, you guys got a bright future in front of you.
Yeah.
Problem is, it's Metallica. It's like, it's just acceptable for Metallica.
Definitely. Moth into Flame, I think it's one of the better songs there. I like the song. I think it kicks a good amount of ass, but it's far from Metallica caliber for sure. And I remember before putting this album on, my lady friend said, because I was saying, like, I remember this album being like just really average thrash, like okay, it's just okay thrash.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, would you say that if it wasn't Metallica? Would it still be okay if it wasn't Metallica? And I said, yes. And in fact, like you just said, we probably think of it as better if this wasn't Metallica. And songs like that, it's like, okay, that's a cool riff. There's a cool riffs in there. It's a good song, but we're not even, here's the thing. We're listening to this era, baby. We're not comparing this to fucking Ride the Lightning. We're comparing this to Death Magnetic, and it's nowhere close to that.
Also, I would argue, I don't know if this is technically a double disc album. Like,
on streaming, it's split into two halves, but I don't know.
If this album was half cut half these songs, I think it does make it a little more tolerable.
A lot of the more hard rock oriented stuff if that was trimmed out, man, this wouldn't be that bad at all. And the other song that I think I didn't like it at first, but really won me over second listen is Am I Savage?
Really?
That chorus. I love that chorus, man.
That one is like really tapping into the hard rock there. And it's not really strong, but I think when you have an album with these like bloated songs and you hear like a short song, it is refreshing.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously, like the song title and the allusion to Am I Evil is a little funny. They're going to be doing stuff like that for a while, little alluding to stuff, but the load reload hard rock bullshitness is all over that song, and I'm not going to defend it, but there's the pre-chorus and then the chorus are like, man, that's so cool. And then the solo riff, there's a chuggy section on the first half of the solo. I mean, there's like moments like, man, that's actually very cool. So it ended up just being like, all right, fuck it. It's not consistent. I don't even think there are really two consistent songs in the whole album, but that along with Atlas Rise, which I'll dig it. I'll dig that one, man. It's fine. It's not a bad song. Again, it's like it's getting a little redundant because the I don't know if you might not remember which riff I'm talking about, but it's the tail end of the intro riff. It sounds exactly like Through the Never. No. It sounds exactly like Through the Never. So now we're going to be getting riffs that sound a lot like earlier riffs we're going to get on the next album as well. And it's like, you remember, this is Metallica. Like, yes, this is Metallica, but it feels like someone pretending, man.
Yes, a bunch of pretenders. I will say between this and 72 Seasons, because we've already done an episode, and we will talk about it again, but I like between the two, this is stronger. I don't feel like that's saying much though. But yeah, I did. It's almost, it's weird. It's almost like a monkey paw thing where like, oh, you want old Metallica, you don't want Saint Anger, like here you go.
Here you go.
And
yeah,
it's,
this is what we thought we were getting with Death Magnetic.
yeah, and it is kind of soulless, although it, like you said, opener, closer, and then for me, Moth into Flame and Halo on Fire are like moments of something fun, but between all that it's just grueling, and it's too damn much.
There's so much because there's so many songs that we didn't even talk about because they all do. So when I was saying that there's like allusions to other stuff and like little, you kind of see what they were doing. I made that comment about the Through the Never riff. Then you get the intro to Confusion, which is like, that's very similar to Am I Evil. The intro to Am I Evil, not nearly as memorable, obviously, but it's like, were they just like listening to or playing Am I Evil a bunch and they just like this happened to write that? It just feels very odd. And then another one, the intro to Here Comes Revenge. I mean, it sounds just like fucking Harvester of Sorrow. It's like you hear little moments where they just sound like other better Metallica songs, and then he just goes into this fucking generic, like shitty, hard rock or metal riff. It's like, man, what is happening here?
By the time Here Comes Revenge comes on, I was like, I'd rather listen to Lulu again. I'm not even
yeah, definitely, easily.
It's such a crazy thing to say, but
I don't think it's crazy at all. I mean, it is crazy, but it is crazy like a fox. So, Man Unkind, aside from it having
it's fucking stupid,
very silly song title, I don't know what the hell I was on, man. First listen, I was like, you know what? It has some good arrangement stuff. It overstays the hell out of its welcome. It's a little bit more interesting. Fine. Second listen, I was like, this is one of the worst songs on the album. What the fuck was I thinking? Like,
absolutely. And yeah, I think like the back half of this album is like, I think the songs suck more, but then it's like salt on the wound because it's in the back half of the album. Like, I don't think they'd be good songs if I could like isolate them or like put them in the front of the album, but it's just like that added, almost like insult to injury.
It just zaps you. And there's only a few, because we already established there's no more ballads, but you don't have to have a ballad, maybe just some clean moments. And the clean moments, there's like two. The first one, I think it's the first one, is on Halo on Fire, which is like, it's in the verses. And it sounds like Metallica doing Dracula music. It's very strange. It's a very strange verse. But the problem with it is that it's track 6, and that's the first time we get clean guitars or a clean section on your 75 fucking minute album. 77-minute album. That's pretty crazy, right? That's a little crazy.
Yeah, like you said, there's no formula, there's no flow to it. It's just like, here you go.
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of just what felt like could have been, there's one moment in Some Kind of Monster where James gets super duper upset because Lars says, that riff just feels stock to me. I don't want to tell you, James. And James gets so fucking angry. But he was just telling him like, it feels like a pretty average riff. This is an album of stock riffs, dude. Like,
that's amazing. Yeah, use Lars's words against him. I love it.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. But I still like the closer. I still like the opener. It's like, all right, fuck it. I'll take that. It's not the worst. It's not the worst. You got some two solid songs. I don't think either of them are even close to anything off Death Magnetic, but they're still strong songs. But they lost it. I think this is where we lose it. And that made me sad.
Not on the Lou Reed album. Lou Reed album.
No, I was all on board for the Lou Reed album, baby.
No, I agree with you.
I'm also gonna say this, I believe it's my least favorite album cover. This is easily my least favorite album. I do not like this album cover.
I kind of dig it, and I ironically think it'd be a more suitable album cover for Saint Anger.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Absolutely. I never thought of that.
Right?
This is the Saint Anger album cover. 100%. That makes perfect sense.
They're like it's like the four of them, and it's distorted, and there's like in my brain it makes sense.
It also feels way more early 2000s. It feels a little bit more new metal.
I do like the use of color on a metal album cover, though, I must say.
It's got good color. Yeah, I'll give it that. But now we're on to the most recent. And this most recent album, we did a full episode on it right after it came out. So those who watch the pod already know how we feel about this. But I wonder if things have changed, Alex. I wonder if we feel slightly different in any way at all. But we're going to find out. This is 2023's 72 Seasons.
There is that Motorhead Dirty Bass.
Also,
which we've never gotten from before, really.
I just read that Kurt didn't really contribute to the last album.
Did he not? Really?
Yeah. He lost his phone, which had all his riff ideas. Motherfucker is rich and he doesn't have a cloud.
He is getting older. Complicated technology.
I don't remember what I originally said, but I think similar to the last album, this is suitable opener.
I will respond to that because this is a cool little riff. Very Metallica. It's not mind blowing.
Sure.
It's not changing anything. It's a Metallica riff. And here's where you lose me.
Really? I don't. Yeah.
This reload bullshit.
I don't know. It's at the end of the day, it's just fine.
This feels like load. This feels stripped like
Does
load.
it? Interesting.
A little bit more classic heavy metal for sure, but in the same hard rock, the same style of hard rock they did. This is a cool ass riff though.
The critical reception of this album, like, pisses me off.
So
this was like super well received. Oh, by the way, I forgot because there was so much stuff to talk about. Fucking Saint Anger won a Grammy, by the way, and I think,
of course it did. Yeah,
I think did something off this one win one too, and the previous one.
Probably because the Grammys, people just, especially in heavy metal, because like I think I think I've said this, but I saw something with Braun Daler of Mastodon where he was like super excited to sign up for the Grammy, like whatever the committee. And then he found out he had a vote on everything. And he's like, I have no business voting on like best Latin album of the year.
Shit. Are you serious?
He's like, what are we?
Yeah, no wonder it's dog shit.
Yeah, he's like, what are we doing here? So that's how like dog shit Metallica things end up winning, because most of these people don't listen to metal and they look at it and they go, that's a name I know, and they check it off.
Yeah, if anybody thought there was any kind of merit in the Grammys at this point, you're probably a little bit brain dead, like obviously. But so I think the title track, the opener, 72 Seasons, I think that is legitimately their worst intro ever.
Wow.
I think it's worse than Frantic.
Wow.
I don't think it's like I think Frantic is a more offensive song, but I think it has better riffs. I find it to me their most boring intro. Maybe I'm not going to say they're worst. I'm going to say their most boring opener ever. It has the least amount of energy. It feels the least like it should be an opener out of all of their albums.
Yeah, it's this. I will say 6, 7 times I've listened to this now. This time, like, I feel like I've listened to 3 songs when I've listened to that album or that song. Sorry. Like, I feel like so much time has passed and I'm like, I'm not even off track 1.
How do you mean?
Like, you feel the length in that it's too long. Like, oh, I've listened to 15 minutes of this album. Nope. You've just listened to 1 track.
Gotcha. Yes. That opener is like 7 minutes. It's way too long. And unsurprisingly, this album is another 77-minute album, and everything is super long for no reason. And so we talked about this at length on the episode, but going back to it, I really thought that listening to all the albums in a row, listening to it chronologically, and then especially comparing it directly with Hardwired, that I was going to get a little bit more perspective on it. So what I did was I took all my notes, then I pulled up my old notes from the episode and compared notes with past Mike. And guess what I found, Alex?
Are they the same?
They're the fucking same, dude.
Amazing.
Like, if I'm anything but not consistent. Okay.
Yeah.
I talk a lot of shit on this podcast, but I say my honest feelings, and I can verify that with fucking notes apparently. So
I thought about doing something similar, but I want to surprise myself, so I'm gonna. I still think it's fucking boring though. Like it's not a good album. Anyone who tells you that is, high off nostalgia or doesn't listen to a lot of new music.
Yeah, or they're just excited. Yeah, high nostalgia, excited, and they're really, really happy that Metallica is still around.
Which
and
I am
putting
too.
out weird shit. Yeah, I'm glad they're around too. But yeah, these riffs are some of the weakest they've done. Unlike you, though, I do think this is a better album than Hardwired.
Okay.
And it's mostly because of, there's just more songs I like on here. And
for me, it's less.
So there's a few things about this album that I find to be a little bit redeemable. And one of them is not even like a thing that I would give it. I wouldn't even consider this a reason to come back to it, is the overall feel of the album is so classic. And it's classic in a way that they've actually never done. The closest you could compare this to is Kill 'Em All, because it's, really, really early thrash. But would they go NWOBHM here pretty much? Like that's how classic this type of heavy metal is for a lot of this album. And the most thrashy song really is Lux Eterna, which is, I didn't like it when I heard it as a single a long time ago. In the context of the album, I do like it because it's refreshing. But I'm fucking beaten down by the first chunk of this album. Like, aside from Shadows Follow, which I do think is a fine song, Screaming Suicide, Sleep Like My Life Away, You Must Burn, I am fucking exhausted by all this shit. It's just all mid-paced, boring, and it all has the same kind of presentation. And then Lux Eterna comes on, and it's like, I feel like I'm listening to Judas Priest. Like that style of, not obviously it doesn't sound like Judas Priest exactly, but just that older heavy metal, which, yeah, they don't do that. They haven't done that in so long. So it's like, all right, fuck it. What do you think about Lux Eterna?
I don't remember what I said originally, but now, because this came out the same year that Killer, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard album,
Right,
and Mutoid Man came out.
hell yeah.
And to me, Lux Eterna is kind of like a neutered version of those songs, which I'll still take. It rules. I agree with you. It's the most different song on the whole album. It's not perfect, but fuck it. It's the best song on the album.
I don't think it's the best song because I have a strong argument.
Really?
For one thing is, I remember I put up the same strong argument on the episode, came back to it, forgot that I said that, forgot that I felt that way. Heard it, I was like, oh, fuck yeah, dude. I got super hyped for it. And that song, baby. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Roast and Cole. And that song is the closer, baby. Inamorata. the 11-minute. They finally broke their.
That's
their
right.
Like I said in the episode, they finally broke their double-digit cherry.
Yeah.
On
man, I'm getting flashbacks. Yeah.
Dude,
no,
the 11-minute closer. I think it's a fucking great song. I think it's one of the best songs of the whole era. I actually love the song.
I need to remember that you love it, and I just need to throw it on one day out of like context of the rest. I'm just going to like listen to this song and nothing else one day.
It's the only song that I think like, oh, I want to keep that song. I'll scrap the rest of the album. I want to keep that song.
I'm
it's
just
like,
so like beaten. I probably said, yeah, it's just, I'm so beaten down.
That's the problem with it, because I think they knew that the song was so epic and so strong that they're like, we got to close it with this. It's a big, but not taking into account that the album is 77 minutes and a lot of it is so samey. It's so, even the songs I do like, there's other songs that I'm cool with on here. And I think they're fine songs, but they're samey. There's no, again, I'm not the ambassador for ballads, but they help break things up. Mm-hmm. The fact that there aren't any on here makes it feel even longer. So the fact that I'm diligently taking notes is forcing me to kind of try to fight past the fatigue. So a song like Inamorata comes on and it opens with like a fairly average riff. And then the chorus comes in. I'm like, that's cool. That's a pretty cool chorus. And then it keeps going. And then it goes to this break and it gives you some space. Like, okay, all right, what are they doing? I can see where the song's longer. They're taking their time. They're being a little bit patient here. And then it comes in with one of the fucking greatest solo guitar harmony sections they've done in the whole era. It's one of my favorite guitar harmony sections they've ever done. It's so catchy. This song sounds to me like if Load or Reload were amazing. That's what Inamorata feels like to me.
That is such high praise coming from a man who nitpicks albums that you love. For you to just be like, I'm sure you could nitpick this, but for you to just like so enthusiastically put it over like that is crazy. And I really do need to like, anybody else, I'd be like, you're crazy. I'm not gonna, but like for you, I will keep your comments if I remember, because I think I said something similar, and then we do an episode next week, and I don't want to listen to shit I may not like. So
also 11 minutes when we're constantly listening to new albums all the time. It's a lot to ask. It's a lot of time. But I do appreciate that, because listening to that song, even though I think this is a very boring album, I don't like this album. I think it's okay at best. And I think they've been on a downward trajectory for a while. Hearing that made me feel like they're still Metallica. They still have some Metallica in them. Like they're not lost. They're not completely lost. They still, like, you can't write a song like that that's that catchy and that sincere and that fucking beautiful in like a lot of moments without still having a little bit left in you.
What if they were playing chess and they were like, guys, I think we need to do something so bad, worse than Load. We need to do something worse than Load. So everything we do after will be judged more kindly.
That's a pretty solid move, honestly.
I don't actually believe that. It's
no, they definitely didn't.
But it's just a funny thought.
It does help perspective. But yeah, I like Crown of Barbed Wire. I think it's quite nice. And another one that doesn't really.
That one like loses steam for me. And like during the solo, I was like, I kind of just want to listen to I Disappear over this song.
Fuck. Oh man, what a diss.
Hey. Here I go.
It's a hard rock. It's more on the hard rock side for sure. And following Lex Eterna, it's a little bit, I'm pretty sure I said that on the episode too. But I think the vocal hooks really grabbed me. A lot of the vocal harmony stuff, it's nice. It's a dark song. And then I said it on the episode, I'm going to say it again. The main riff to Chasing Light kicks so much ass. The rest of the song fucking crumbles so hard.
Okay,
but that main riff is so good. Like I'll give it to it for the main riff. God damn it. But I don't think it's that a very great song. And the last thing I like is Too Far Gone. It sounds a lot like No Remorse, the main riff to me. sounds like the No Remorse verse, but fuck it. There's some good ass guitar harmonies on that one too. I'll take it.
Too Far Gone is one of the few songs that feels fun. And I know like good Metallica is like really serious and all that. Maybe not on Kill 'Em All, but it's like serious. I don't know how to quantify or like describe fun, but it's definitely been lacking on these past two albums. And Too Far Gone, there are maybe it's the guitar harmonies. I'm like, oh, I can like. It feels like you guys are having fun making this.
Yeah, there's some fun moments here. I mean, Lux Eterna would be a pretty good example of a pretty fun song. Like there are good moments on here. I think overall, it's like a classic heavy. It's Metallica blending all of like the hard rock stuff that they seem to enjoy, blending that with classic heavy metal. That's what this album is, and parts of it are very cool. Parts of it are nice. One song I think stands up with some of the best stuff on this in this whole era, but the rest, yeah.
In hindsight, it's crazy that alternative indie band that puts out 100 albums a year made a better heavy metal album than Metallica.
King Gizzard, man, that band.
I love that album.
If you like one album from that band, maybe just stick with the one album because you might be devastatingly disappointed by their next album. They're one of the craziest bands in the world.
It's why I won't see them live. I'm like, I just want it. Like, can you just do a night where you perform that one album? That's all I want to hear.
Yeah. What in the world what are their set lists like? I mean, that's crazy. Of the band like that,
man. I'm just gonna listen to that.
also Mutoid Man. You're comparing like Lux Eterna to that. Like, oh yeah, that Mutoid Man album was so fun, so good.
Oh,
if I'm gonna go classic thrash for like from 2023, I'm going Mutoid Man 10 times out of 10.
And honestly, like that's who I get it. They're fucking gigantic. There's all this fucking marketing and bullshit involved, but like that's who they should be taking out on the road.
Oh, dude, that would be so sick if Mutoid Man. Yeah, if they got that shot.
Because
that's so deserved.
I honestly think like Lamb of God and Mastodon's current like longevity and success is because too many M's, because Metallica was taking them out on the road and a lot of people were exposed to them.
Yeah.
And yeah, now they're taking like the worst bands ever on the like they can be kingmakers.
Yeah, I think they're just too old and they're not like really in touch. Well, why would they be?
They were like, what are the kids like? Ice 9 Kills. Okay.
Get fucked.
I agree.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, so that was that. And
we finally talked about Lulu. I can end this podcast.
Yes. we bucket list item achieved. So they're still touring as of this episode. They're still touring this album. They're going to be touring this album for
big world tour. Yep.
Yeah, they're going all around. Good for them. You know, I think James went through a divorce semi recently, which is like
went back to rehab. Good.
Went back to rehab. Yeah. When did he go back to rehab?
Fairly recently. Someone like that. I'm just, if they fall down, I'm just glad they can pick themselves back up again.
Yeah, that makes me pretty sad. Like seeing, like, not just the some kind of monster, and how he was just trying to keep his shit together and be a family guy, but even like when Hardwired came out, he was talking about how he was like on the straight and narrow and trying to like be good to his wife and whatever, and then to hear like, oh yeah, didn't make it. Did
you watch the Tony Hawk? Did you watch the Tony Hawk documentary?
No.
In hindsight, it makes sense because he had like 100 wives. That man
did he really? I never even thought about it. I never knew that.
He has a lot of wives. He not like at once, but
yeah, he's not a Mormon.
He opens up about being a sex addict in that documentary, and my mind was just like fucking blood. I mean, like, you don't really know these people, but it was like, I don't know. It's cool to like know these. Like these people struggle too. They deal with these very real things. He tells this story where he was like on tour. Tony Hawk was like on tour. He had his son with him, and his son like wanted to hang out with him after he had like finished the show. And he's like, "You're just a stupid little kid that's going to bed. I can go get laid right now." And he just like left his son with the nanny.
So like we love everyone. We love Tony Hawk. We like love him. He's like the most real, like cool dude. But like, no, everyone is both. Never fucking forget that. And if you do forget that, read this book. It's everyone is both. Everyone is both. No, don't fucking deify anybody. Don't demonize anybody. Just we're all shitty and good. Just give us opportunities to try to do the good part more. Because we're gonna fuck up. We're gonna do some shitty things. We're gonna do our best not to. But Tony Hawk fucks. That's what happens. That's life.
He did go to like rehab, like a program though, and said he got it under control. So
yeah, the sex addict thing made me think too, because it's also one of the, it's kind of hacky at this point, but like, you know, like, oh, to say you're addicted to sex, it's like, or to be like addicted to it, it seems like a stupid thing when you compare it to like heroin or something like. But the funniest and most realistic interpretation of that, I don't know if that's the right word, but comedian Chris Stefano, who's a open sex addict, he's like, people don't realize that when someone's a sex addict, like what I was doing, I would have sex with this model looking girl one night, and the next day I would have sex with a fucking 60-year-old, this old woman. That's a sex addict. Like that's, it's like, it's not like, it's like a problem. It's like you wouldn't be out banging old ladies if you didn't have a problem.
Also, when you start making your bad decisions around it, I think that's when you're addicted to any, like he chose not to hang out with his son.
Yeah, that's fucking hilarious. It's so wrong and sad, but that's when you're, that's obviously
he's like, you don't have memories, and you're not going to remember this. And then,
oh man,
I wonder if that's the one who married Francis Bean Cobain.
She married one of his
hell yeah,
one of his kids.
Dude, fucking power couple right there.
Oh, that's kind of ringing a bell. Yeah. Talk about
we're like, this episode's long. Let's talk about Tony Hawk.
Listen, man, it came naturally. So you get two kids with, let's just call them beast genetics.
Hell yeah.
Horrible upbringings, horrible bad parents, beast genetics.
Yeah, I hope their kid, Tony Hawk's grandkid, has a good life.
Yeah, hopefully.
Also, that baby's like the Super Saiyan of the 90s, just like fucking.
Absolutely.
Your grandparents are Kurt Cobain and Tony Hawk.
That's fucking crazy. Oh my god! Imagine if those were your grandparents.
When I was like 12, if you were like you, I would like give my left nut to be related to one of them, like both of them.
Oh man, that's nuts. That kid is not going to appreciate it. We need to find that kid one day and then be like, you need to appreciate, like, cherish it, please.
Right after Mike says, "Don't deify anyone," I'm like, man, I'd do anything to be related to Tony Hawk.
Dude, Tony Hawk's the best. Oh shit,
he's so fucking cool.
And that's the episode. God damn it. It's been like fucking 3 hours. It's been 3 hours for us. It hasn't been 3 hours for you guys, thankfully. But let's do a little recap. A quick little recap. What you got?
Easy peasy. Worst, least favorite. Saint Anger. Round my neck. He does get no respect. They were right about that. And then best personal favorite, Death Magnetic. I can say it is a certifiably good, awesome album.
Hell yes. And for me, worst least favorite, of course, Saint Anger. Wow. Death Magnetic best. I would put it alongside the other 5 great Metallica albums easily. And Lulu with Lou Reed, damn it, my personal favorite, because it brings me happiness, and it's the funniest fucking album I've heard in a long time. And I encourage you all to give it a nice little listen.
Robert shouldn't have been on this episode. We should have just phoned him in on the Lulu part. And that's it.
That would be, that I think that he would have appreciated it. Damn, that would have been a good idea.
That's a bonus. That's a bonus episode.
Yeah. Mike and I'll talk with Robert about Lulu again.
Actually, yes. I'm not joking. Yes.
Fuck it. I'm down. Yeah. So go to the Patreon for that. If you want to help us out and support us, patreon.com/everyalbumever. That's where you go. Bonus episodes. I want to do that, so we're going to get on that as soon as we can. Yeah, bonus episodes, you get to see our schedules in advance. You get to vote on polls to decide who we cover next. Also, when I post the schedules in advance, and it's always subject to change based on our schedules and availability and what's going on. I take pointers from people who leave comments and say like, if we need like a short discography because we're running out of time. If you throw fucking suggestions in there, we might just like fucking do them like on the fly, just because. So there's a lot of like what you can help us. If you want to see,
life happens, and we can't do them all. And I'm always amazed at the growth and support you guys show us. But
absolutely, yeah.
So we're doing our best, and like Mike said, he does read them.
Yeah. So go there for that. You can obviously vote on polls when we do. We have to. It's been a while since the last poll because it was a big poll. We had 3 giant things that we promised we are going to do them. We just have to. Now that we finished Metallica, we can move on to the next big multi-parted episode, and that's going to be one of the poll winners. You can also join the Discord, be part of the community, talk with all the giant nerds like us about music. On there, you can also suggest albums for EA singles episodes. So if a new album came out this year, throw it on the Discord. We'll probably do an episode on it. And if you're tier 2, then you can suggest a full discography for us to cover in these much longer, much bigger numbered episodes. In addition, you can bonus episodes for Patreon. Just any album from anywhere, throw them on. If you send me a fucking message on Patreon, we'll do an episode on that. There's a lot of stuff there. It's very cool. And you can follow me on all social media at PanderMonkey and Alex on Instagram at
Every Album Alex for the time being, but I'm probably deleting that shit. So Blue Sky is really the place to find me for like 100% sure. And that's
all right. We'll see how long that place lasts too.
So far, so good. My feed today was just about David Lynch and Kenny Omega. I love that. My handle there is Octatron3030.
Right on. And our history guy, Tom Osman, you could also support at Tom Osman Sounds on all social media, as well as TomOsmanSounds.com for all his music and his podcast, Whatever Comes Next, where he interviews a bunch of indie underground musicians. It's very cool stuff. You can find links to all that in the description. And my EP, link to that in the description as well. What the hell else? I think that's it. Time to wrap it up. Now, what the fuck?
I didn't even think about this. I don't know how we're going to decide this.
This is going to be a tough one.
I mean, it's going to be something from Death Magnetic or Lulu, right?
Not Lulu. It's too fucking long.
Okay.
Well, fucking long.
That narrows it down.
What about nice, snappy, simple, short, relatively, My Apocalypse?
Sure. Let's go.
Fuck it. Let's do that. So thank you so much for listening and watching. See ya.